Good looking gun you have here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed.
Beautiful looking weaponry.
Like fully hot?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're hot. You're ready to go.
Ready to go. Sick. So yeah, like you were saying, as everyone probably sees, you should probably watch the YouTube video version of this to see the weaponry that's sitting in front of us. Can we say the word muzzleloaders and rifles, where we get like
I don't know,
shadow banned on podcasts and stuff now too?
It's a good question. The way the world's going, yeah, you probably can't say anything when it has to deal with weaponry.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys can actually do anything on social media.
We've had a good stretch lately. We haven't. I mean, our reach is definitely throttled, but they haven't been pulling down any of our posts or anything.
You guys aren't in the penalty box?
No, I think we are.
I mean, like our normal post sees about like 1% non-follower.
Yeah, no,
we're in the penalty box constantly.
We're definitely in the penalty box, especially like we just put out a video about suppressors and muzzleloaders. That's
not
a big no-no on YouTube. So.
Yeah.
Which is muzzleloaders, though, that's a wild thing that you guys be in the penalty box for, because there's no FFL need, there's no nothing, right?
So actually, these are on a rifle action.
Oh, so that's
the
definition of it. Yeah.
The people in San Francisco Bay don't differentiate, right?
So if people don't know, we have Luke and Jake here from Arrowhead Rifles.
Yeah, and I've seen Arrowhead Rifles a lot lately, like a lot. I've seen you guys, a lot more people talking about it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Good to have you venture your way this way, from a hot area to a hot area.
Little less hot, but
we're less hot.
Yeah,
we're definitely less hot.
3 degrees, I think.
Well, like average 5 degrees.
Okay,
but that's noticeable in the summer.
Yeah,
that's noticeable.
It is.
You know.
Yeah. Starting to feel like fall in the morning. So finally,
it is. I agree. Finally, this morning felt like fall.
Yeah. This weekend's gonna get below 100 finally.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, I think Thursday's kind of last hot day, and then
we finally made it.
Start trending down, hopefully.
Football kickoff, elk season.
No one cares about football. No one cares
about
elk.
football, and I care about elk season, and we made it to both.
Oh, it is a good time of year.
It's the best time of year.
Yeah,
it's the best time. We got in an argument about this the last podcast, and Brady didn't agree.
No,
he did not agree.
Yeah. This season's all about mule deer.
And he's just so positive about it too. No one else thinks September is for mule deer. That was figured out. We solved that one, put that one to bed. What's your guys' take?
Yeah, he's not getting much support.
September's for elk.
Yeah. I'm a big mule deer guy. I'm a mule deer guy over an elk guy, but September has been for elk for me for sure. So
see,
I'm the only odd duck over here.
I'm not a big velvet guy.
Yeah,
so that's where it gets me.
You have a mule deer guy saying September is for elk. Settled. Put to bed. It's over.
But if I
can't wait to tell Trail.
Can't wait to tell Trail. Yeah, that's why Trail's not here, is because he's going on an elk hunt in September. Like 90% of people out west do.
Yes.
That just means the mule deer hunting is better because there's a lot less people doing it.
True. It's very true.
Something to be said for that.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. The other thing too about you're not a velvet guy. The other thing that kind of drives me crazy with mule deer is right now, because they're like polished, but they're not fully colored, and that I don't like that.
Yeah, or you get like the hard velvet where they're tipping out, and that's
it's just kind of a weird phase of mule deer right now. Not a huge fan of it. I either want full velvet or like full colored
dark horn.
Yeah. Like I like that white antlered look.
Yeah. No.
And then, but if we have a white antlered and a bunch of that velvet's hanging off, like a bunch, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a stripper, right?
No. Stripper.
I'd much prefer a fully polished colored bull elk now, but to each their own. To each their own.
But I want to talk muzzleloaders a lot today. I wanted to dive into you guys' head and give me all your advice and wisdom. Why you guys build these badass muzzleloaders? What else do you do at Arrowhead Rifles besides for just muzzleloaders? Because you obviously build rifles too, but maybe walk me through that portion of it. Like how'd you guys get this going? Vision behind it, and what's your?
Yeah, I guess I'm a Midwest boy like you, Brady. I grew up in Iowa, and night muzzleloading was kind of a thing growing up. You shotgun muzzleloader only state, so kind of limited on effective range. I think the holy grail in high school is to have a effective 200-yard solution with a slug gun, which is a joke to try to obtain that. And I think right about the time I graduated college in early 2000s, Savage came out with their 10 ML2. It's the first and only mass-produced smokeless powder muzzleloader. I bought one of those and started playing with it, and it was okay. Like eventually, I got to where it shot halfway decent, and then I found out people are rebarreling them to 45 cal. The aftermarket barrels were a lot better, but the lead times were super high on those. The company that was producing them was like 12 to 14 week lead time, and nobody was stocking them. Like, yeah, I'll make a little extra spending money and order them in bulk and flip them, and it's just kind of spiraled from there into making a better mousetrap and extending that effective range. Early on with that 10 ML2, I killed a deer at 225 yards with the muzzleloader, and I was holy crap, this I was bragging to all my buddies and stuff now. And and now like we do a 200 yards is like an afterthought. I mean that's
so wait, the start of Arrowhead was back in high school when you were...
No, it was the 10 ML2. I purchased that I think right after in college, and then shortly after college. Actually, this month is our 13th anniversary. Okay. So 2011. So about 10 years.
The start of it, though, the start of the business was flipping the barrel.
Correct.
The barrels of it.
Yeah, and then I just started carrying breech plugs and other accessories. So a big part of our business too is just muzzleloader accessories as well. And then we also do center fire rifles as well. We've been doing that for about the last 5 or 6 years. We still do more muzzleloaders than center fire rifles, but every year we...
That's what I was curious about, like if you did do more muzzleloaders now than rifles still, but that's cool.
The center fire market is so competitive, right? And muzzleloaders too. There are other people doing muzzleloaders, but we definitely have the name as one of the best, if not the best, muzzleloader out there. So it's kind of funny. Through the spring, we'll be running like 50-50 on rifles. Jake's probably seen this last couple of years and like, oh, this is the year we're gonna go more center fires than muzzleloaders, and then we'll sell a pile of muzzleloaders in July.
And July hits and it's like
totally skews the numbers. Yeah.
I'm just, from a outside perspective, I've just noticed muzzleloaders getting a lot more attention for the opportunity of hunts that it allows for. And then obviously, like, not just the opportunity of hunts that it allows for, is now they've become consistent. Like, they're not a pain in the ass to deal with. Like, I remember when I first graduated college, they were a pain in the ass. Like, it was, to get them to shoot consistently was like next to impossible. So not a lot of people wanted to mess with them. And now it seems like it's a single shot rifle almost.
Well, that's before Savage came out with that 10 ML2. I think I had a TC Firehawk and could sort of get it to shoot. And I think I sold all my muzzleloader stuff, and I said I'm just not dealing with this stuff anymore. And then got back into it with the Savage, and it's spiraled, like I said, from there into to full blown business. But
even cleaning some of those muzzleloaders back in the day, just like a pain.
Put them in the bathtub.
You're literally taking every part off that gun every time you press the trigger. You take everything apart, clean it again.
Yeah, and then you'd have to
I hope it goes off.
Yeah, and I don't know what I'm fully talking about here, but you'd have to soak the back plug because it would get stuck.
Yeah,
you'd have to soak it to get all the grit off of it. Yeah, then put that back in and then hope it fires again. It was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but you touched on something though too. Like that's why I've grown into the muzzleloader thing. Like obviously I've moved away from archery. We all know that story.
Yes.
Kind of retired.
Can't wait to see you come back. But yes.
Yeah, I retired like MJ, and I might come back.
You're playing baseball right now.
Yeah, playing baseball. I might grab that 45 jersey and come back for a little bit.
You're in your baseball phase right now. Yeah. You'll come back.
But I've always enjoyed, loading and hand loading everything with rifles, and so this is now sort of similar to that, get an extended range. And you touched on too, the draw odds for muzzleloader tags.
Yeah, the opportunity is where I've my whole draw to muzzleloaders. Full transparency, I can't stand reloading. I can't stand all that monotonous small detail stuff. I just don't like it. I don't like having to go to a gun range to shoot. I like shooting my bow in my backyard. It's just so easy.
For sure.
I don't like any of that. But the opportunity of hunts that you have in muzzleload season is pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
All throughout the West. That's my draw to it, is just, I apply for them just because I want those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
Because last year, I drew that tag. I think I said on there I had 11 points.
Yeah, and you drew an incredible tag.
Incredible muzzleloader elk tag in one of the top three units of that certain state.
100% top 3 unit, no question. And you wouldn't have drawn it otherwise.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm drawn to it for sure. And thank God for guys like you that if I ever do draw one of those tags, I get something like this.
Yeah. I guess, this is a step up from, that's what I maybe want to jump into is like, why go custom on a muzzleloader? Like what are you kind of gaining going this route, like performance wise, accuracy wise, like why custom muzzleloader? There's obviously a lot of other muzzleloaders that you can get.
It's a whole can of worms, right? But I mean, it's kind of comparable to going custom rifle to a factory rifle, right? This day and age, there's a lot of factory rifles that shoot phenomenal, but there's that bell curve, right, with the mass produced stuff, and you never know for sure what you're getting. So some of it comes down to you have more time or money, but we do. Maybe it's a little more so than that with the muzzleloader, just because our ignition system is capable of handling higher pressure. We're using a very high end cut rifled barrel with very consistent geometrical tolerances, and that all plays into how we get the performance, because we're not our project. I guess we should have brought a couple of bullets in to show people what those look like.
Do I have any?
Well, you just gave me a bunch that I tossed in the back of the truck.
I gave you a bunch back.
Nice.
It's a high beat. It looks more like a rifle bullet, but there's no sabot or any buffer. So it's got to be. We're talking down to the tenths of 1,000 for a fit. So it's got to be held to extremely tight tolerance. Where something that's mass produced, where I think a lot of the factory muzzleloader barrels, you'll see a 1 to 3 thousandths bore diameter variation, to where you can't get that consistency.
I'm not a math guy, so is that would say you're over 3 times more consistent?
Yeah,
right?
Probably even more so than that, because we're using primarily Brucks and Bartlett. Our pre-sized bullets, we have a 3 thousandths. We have 2 different bullets, so they're 3/10. So a human hair is 3 thousandths. So the 2 sizes of bullets we use vary by 10% of a human hair in diameter. So it's extremely tight tolerance.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But as soon as you put them in a barrel, if you have the right size.
You're trying to shove a piece of metal down the barrel, right?
It's that precise,
Wow.
You can buy adjustable sizing dies. I think you've got one of those, Brady.
I have one at home,
and those work great. It's just an extra step. I think one of the things to just take the high performance muzzle loading more mainstream has been the pre-sized bullets.
And they shoot phenomenal. Like the same one I shot last year and I'm shooting right now, pre-sized. But I do kind of like to tinker.
Yeah.
No way, Brady.
I will forewarn, I'm probably going to go and size some of them and try to experiment and see what I can do to maybe get more performance out of it.
That's Brady's enjoyment in life, and I literally can't think of anything that would take away enjoyment from me than having to do that.
You just want to go shoot
It's just
stuff,
funny
right?
how people are so different.
But the thing even for me though, with you said, there's a lot of great factory rifles out there. There's obviously a lot of great custom rifles out there. Yeah. I think the similarities between a factory rifle nowadays and a custom, that gap is slowly. It seems like there's still really great custom rifles, no joke. But that gap is closer. But the muzzleloader game now, you have a factory muzzleloader, you have a custom muzzleloader. That gap to me right now seems very large in terms of performance and tighter tolerances and accuracy and all the things you gain from factory to a custom.
Yeah, I would agree. It seems like
I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but
I agree. It seems like in the rifle game, the custom guys are because the factories are getting closer. And look, at the end of the day, it's all about can you outshoot the gun? And very few people are going to be able to actually outshoot the gun in their hands. Very few people. Brady could outshoot a factory gun for sure. So he'd be a custom guy. I probably couldn't. But it seems like the custom guys in the rifle side are leaning more towards the system now, right? You get the rangefinder with the gun, and it's all dialed in, so you literally don't have to do anything. It seems like that's how they're competing, quote unquote competing there. But the muzzleloaders are different,
Yeah,
seems
absolutely.
I think something else to be said.
For me or them? Mike's closer for you guys.
There you go.
Yell at him.
Is that all right?
Yeah, just yell at him.
I didn't want to stand in the middle.
Yeah, producer can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
That's
you can tell
right.
us what to do.
Yeah, whip me around, man. Let me know. What I was going to say is I think one of the benefits of going custom is, I guess, the people behind the gun, right? You buy a factory gun and you kind of just go buy it off the shelf, and it's you go look at forums, you go look at whatever, your buddy tells you what to do, but there's not a lot of info on it, right?
Yeah.
Us, you buy a custom gun from us, whenever you have a question, we're trying to put out as many videos as we can, but we're going to answer the phone and be able to help walk you through things and explain the muzzleloader system and stuff like that. So I think that sets it apart from like custom rifles in that sense. There's a lot more going on with the muzzleloader, and you have us here to help you out with your muzzleloader. And then like you were saying, I think probably 80% of the people that are buying custom muzzleloaders are in your boat where they aren't the tinker. They don't want to go size their bullets. Like, that's the last thing anybody wants to do. Even when they watch our video on sizing bullets, they call us back. They're like, how do I do this? So getting a pre-sized bullet, just making it as simple as possible in a gun that you know is capable of longer distances with you just pouring powder and pushing a bullet down, pulling a trigger, that appeals to a lot of guys that don't have the time or know-how with muzzleloaders for sure.
Yeah, 'cause you're mixing sabots of other things. You're mixing random bullets. You're trying to like figure out what load recipe works for it. You're wasting all those components. Constantly having to deal with random cleaning stuff and like pulling breeches out. And
and
this
it's
is
like,
a lot less headache.
And it's like Luke said, it's a time or money thing, right? It's like
Exactly.
I got 2 kids. I got sports. I got a business. Like I just, you know what I mean? Like
For
I'm
sure.
not going to spend the time with it.
I ran into
And I know that about myself.
one guy up at the Hunt Expo. He said whenever he buys a factory rifle, he buys 3 of them.
Well, I'm not doing that either.
know, right?
Now you're spending the money. You're losing the time and the money.
I know. It's like, I'm pretty sure you should just buy a custom rifle.
We get
at
a
that
ton
point.
of those calls. A lot of guys that are like, this is my 4th factory gun. Like, and they're not, I mean, some of the factory muzzleloaders are not necessarily cheap, right? Like it's still a giant purchase for a lot of guys. So when you go spend that money that you worked hard for and your return isn't what you thought it was because it doesn't have a guarantee behind it, I mean, that hurts.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Hey, I'm like a 101, let's say like 201 guy when it comes to this.
Sure.
Can you just, what is the differences technically of a muzzleloader to a rifle? Because I think most people would be able to like
it's a good question.
understand a rifle. You know what I mean? Like what's the true differences you're dealing with?
I mean, it's powder and bullet through the muzzle and then the priming from the rear. So in our system, it's loose powder like Blackhorn 209, or if they're also smokeless powder capable, which, you know, depending on where you're hunting, may or may not be legal. Our priming system is a large rifle Magnum primer in a brass module. So you get 100% seal. The primer is very close to the powder, super easy ignition. But I guess the Traditions nitro fire has kind of blurred the whatever between rifle and muzzleloader, because there's some muzzleloaders out there now where it's strictly the bullet through the muzzle. It's a primed, like powder pre-charged shotgun case from the back. I don't think that's legal in every state, but you know, in the traditional sense, it's powder, bullet, seat it with a ramrod, and then prime it. In the breech is your muzzle loader.
What are you dealing with as far as like the execution of, you know, the bullet coming out of the barrel? Are you dealing with anything different as opposed to a rifle? Like, are you guys dealing with different harmonics, anything like that?
No, actually, you're getting rid of a whole lot of variables that are in a traditional rifle because there's no brass case. The bullet's starting fully engaged
right there,
into the rifling. The SDs we see with these are ridiculously low. Like center fire guys would literally
that's what I've always noticed. Like I do a 10 shot straight.
Oh, yeah.
They're sub 10 a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
Even compared to like custom load, everything, you guys are still getting
because you don't have neck tension, you don't have like, you know, your bullet jump, you don't have any of that. So it just takes all that out. I mean, we were just telling Brady at lunch, we go take 8 muzzleloaders to the range and 8 centerfires to the range, and don't get me wrong, the centerfires shoot fantastic, but the muzzleloaders are going to outshoot them almost every time.
Really?
It's ridiculous.
So that's counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand that, but it's true. Like, I mean,
I mean, how many times? I mean, Jake's been here 2 years. It's like we hear it all the time. Like, this is now my most accurate rifle.
Like, guys will literally not go hunt with their rifles and take the muzzleloader.
Yeah, 'cause what you said just kind of makes sense a little bit. So, like for reloading thing, you got the brass. You're cleaning the brass every single time. You know, you're trimming brass. Maybe you're adjusting your neck tension.
There's variables. A lot of variables.
You're setting the shoulder back. You're doing all this stuff, like the jump of the bullet. Like all these things you have to like test and like modify and do all this.
Because technically what the hell is going on out there? They're going to need to stop that immediately.
Hanging another mount.
Yeah, hanging another mount or something out there. Can you hear that? Yeah, whoever's doing that needs to put that to rest. Because technically the only variables then, at least from my perspective, would be the amount of powder is what would change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
the pressure on the bullet.
Yeah, and then like seating the bullet.
Yeah, and the bullet size, right? Like we talked about the fitment of the bullet in the barrel.
So
Those
that's
are-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the only variables.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And it's pretty easy to narrow
counterintuitive
those down.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if you guys have gone one step further too, which is maybe just me being really geeky and a lot of, I don't know how I have extra time on my hands. I really don't. Cause like I was up till 1:30 last night.
That's why you have extra time on your hands.
Yeah,
It's
getting
you
my
don't sleep.
muzzle ready.
Yeah.
It's just working with primer seating depth on your modules. Have you ever tried to mess around with that?
No.
I don't know. So that's my next step right now. Cause like,
Let us know what you find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just it. Like, I've had this conversation, whatever knob somebody wants to tweak. It's like,
yeah.
can you tell on the half MOA? Like, do
I know.
you shoot a 0.4 inch group? Like, was that?
Was
And
it a
then- and then
primer
so-
or was it you?
Yeah.
Type
Yeah,
of a
and
deal,
then the same thing too. What I'm thinking about is it like a point of diminishing returns for me because technically I'm shooting an open sight system still. So it's like, can I still hold that? It's all me for the most part.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it.
For sure. I think one thing that I've learned, I've only been here 2 years, right? And how I learned about Luke was through outfitting. So I was helping a couple different outfits, and we were both actually using his muzzleloaders. Because a lot like what you said earlier is just the opportunity, especially in New Mexico where I was working.
A ton, yeah.
There's just a lot of opportunity for muzzleloaders. And so that's how I ran into Luke, was using his guns. But since I've been here, I used to think muzzleloaders were so complicated. Even from a guide's perspective with these exact guns, I was just like, what the hell's going on, right? Because I just didn't mess with them, nothing. But it's just, there really isn't that much going on. I think people overcomplicate it a ton. Like it's pour your powder, like weigh your powder out if you have a good pocket skill. Even if you're within, like I go load 50 tubes of powder for us to go to the range.
Yeah.
You think I'm getting that serious about it? I mean, I'm serious about it, right? We have a nice scale, but I'm just throwing them
Yeah.
in. And we go to the range and our SDs are still sub 10, right? Like it really isn't that hard. As long as you're weighing your powder out, you're getting near the same amount of pressure on the bullet. Like it's getting seated and your bullet's the right size, like the gun is going to shoot. Like I get tinkering, but really a muzzleloader is a lot easier than
It
I
is.
think a lot of people realize.
Well, I think
myself included.
a lot of
agree.
that tinkering goes back to growing up with a factory gun and having to tinker.
Having to
like,
tinker,
yeah.
I mean, I've spent a lot of time tinkering with this system to get it to shoot. And that's, since we sell a lot of different components too, we get guys calling in about their, Remington 700 Ultimate or their Paramounts looking for
CBAs.
a combo. And they're like, oh, I got this load that shoots good, but I really want to shoot this bullet. And I'm like, pump the brakes. Like a factory gun, if you got something that
Is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the rule of thumb with muzzleloaders is if you have something that works, just
It's a rule of thumb
run
with
with it.
factory in general. Like
Yeah.
if you find it, don't like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't change it.
Yeah.
That's what it likes.
So
Yeah, they're very, very easy. Another misconception thing a lot of people might think about is like the safety thing. Like muzzleloaders are completely safe to use, and like there's not really like a dangerous thing. The only thing is like the double charging. That's the only thing people have to
Double
worry about.
charging
yeah.
and powder. Like if you're a reloader, you have lots of powders on your bench, right? That gets kind of dangerous. You might pour the wrong powder in the wrong tube or grab the wrong powders when you go to the range, and that can get a little dangerous. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, double loading's really the major risk factor with these, and that's where you need a witness mark.
Yeah.
You can't be talking to people while you're loading
Yeah.
because you're essentially reloading while you're at the range. But that goes for any muzzleloader. You double load it. There's
Good things
there's-
aren't gonna happen.
No.
But yeah, you talk about I think I've told Brady, I don't think I actually blew a gun up in my face in 2020, 300 PRC. So just talking about like having to be aware of what you're doing at all times with all guns. So like muzzleloader, you can double load those. A rifle,
Yeah.
what I did is I had H322 on the bench and was loading for a 300 PRC and knew I needed H1000, and I just was loading up a handful of shells before I was heading to the range with Pyburn. I just built Jay Pyburn, Jay
Yeah.
Scott's nephew. We
Yeah.
were hitting the range with his new 6.5 PRC and ran into the reloading room to load up a half dozen rounds quick that I was messing with on the 300 PRC. Had that H322 on the bench, walked over to the shelf. Like I was doing the proper procedure, the only one kind of powder on the bench, and went over to that shelf and grabbed another can of H322. Just autopilot loaded it up, and it detonated, and the the barrel didn't let go. Actually, it was the receiver that peeled
really?
apart. But yeah, that's how I got that across my nose. Did you ever see did I show you the pictures, Brady?
I haven't seen
It
the
is
pictures.
gnarly.
Oh,
Is
Yeah,
it pretty gnarly?
It's
Oh,
pretty
it's
bad. Yeah,
it's gnarly.
Yeah,
Oh.
The
yeah.
gun still sits in a box in the shop.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
that,
Oh, you had it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I can't believe it.
It's something you don't want to ever.
This is the
constantly
first time I've
remind
talked
you.
about it in public. I mean, I've showed a lot of
Yeah.
people it and stuff, but it's just a good reminder that guns
Yeah.
are dangerous.
Yeah, you're
and you
dealing
got-
with some shit.
Yeah,
for
Yeah.
sure.
I think the more you're around them, like you get less cautious, right? Because it's something you're familiar
It's
with.
human
and-
nature too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get in the zone and you just go, and then you're not paying
Yeah.
attention like you used to when you first started.
Yeah, but yeah, when it happened, I think it may have knocked me out. I don't know. Pyburn was in shock too, I think, so this story is a little vague from
Who knows
him.
what,
but-
who knows what happened?
Yeah, I got up and walked over to the truck. It was parked right there by the bench, and looked in the side view mirror, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna have a nose the rest of my life. It was that bad, and this was like clear down into my sinuses, and
It was pretty
Really?
wicked.
yeah.
Holy
Thankfully,
shit.
yeah. So as soon as I saw that, I just ripped my shirt off and wrapped it around my head. And I don't know how long the surgery was, but that's one good thing about living in Phoenix. There's
Yeah, you had a good surgeon.
Yeah,
Can't even
they
tell.
did well.
Yeah, he
Literally
was-
can't even tell.
He was like, at post-op, he was telling my wife, he's like, I made it, look the best I could, but we'll see. And then he was, 2 weeks later at the post-op, he was patting himself on the back, and
Yeah, I would be thanking him too.
Yeah, I
Literally
love-
can't even tell.
yeah.
That's
I've got a little numbness here and stuff, and it's a good reminder that
Go for sure
got
with your
definitely
powders.
Yeah.
got off easy. Definitely Lord was looking out for me there.
Wasn't
but
even a muzzleloader.
It
that wasn't
wasn't,
even
I know.
muzzleloader.
That's the
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. It
So
was muzzleloader powder.
yeah. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But anyway, so there's took me a year, I'd say, before I was like,
Comfortable again getting behind a gun?
It'd
Yeah,
be hard
a
to
little
shoot a gun after that. Think about that.
my wife thought I'd probably be done, but
I'm surprised. Yeah.
so now that's why I always have someone with me at the range. That's kind of the agreement I have with my wife, which I guess is
Yeah.
probably understandable.
Probably
Probably
smart.
smart.
For sure.
For amount of
That's
times for shooting and
understandable.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
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 So we tried to do the buddy system, but I guess it's a good plug for Oakley M frames. I mean, it impacts all over the lenses. It actually snapped the frame on the M
But
frames.
it did protect your eye.
Yeah, my eyes were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your eyes wouldn't have been fine otherwise.
I mean, there's impacts on the lenses. So
Yeah.
I mean, and it broke the frame. So like I had a,
So
I
it
think
had
it
some serious
deflected. I had a,
impact.
Holy
yeah,
shit, dude.
yeah, it was not good. But yeah, hopefully if sharing the story, if it makes one person think twice and prevents
Absolutely.
something. So,
Yeah, but it's like you said earlier, though, like going to the range and you're loading a muzzleloader, you literally don't talk. It's like one thing I do when I go, I instantly pull the bolt out every single time, even though I know I just shot it and it's just been sitting there cooling with the barrel cooler down it. I literally pull the bolt out, look down the breech, make sure I can see daylight through it, and then having a witness mark at the end. I always try to set one powder on the table, one bullet, and then load that, and then the primer module right next to it, and just make sure everything's
having
kosher.
a process you always follow.
Yeah,
but-
and like over time, it becomes natural to me. Like, yeah, at the range, yeah, you do talk to your buddies, or it's like, oh, come over and video me shooting. As you walk over there, forget you already loaded, and then go back, and I could have something happen to it. So it's just like, taking all those ways you can make it safer.
Poke a little fun at Jake. His favorite thing to do is
Oh,
shoot the
yeah.
funnel, but
Shoot the funnel?
I've shot a lot
You've
of
done that?
funnels.
Yeah, we have to-
Oh yeah.
it's not really a big deal because they're load through funnels, right? So we
Yeah.
pour the powder and the bullet through the funnel and seat it.
You
It's
just don't
easy.
take the funnel out.
But you're
Yeah.
shooting tons of muzzleloaders at the range, right? You're autopilot mode,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you just forget one time to take the funnel out, and you get behind the gun and shoot it, and you're like, that didn't seem right. Go look at the video. No, the bullet didn't hit the target on that one. I wonder what happened. Then you can see the funnel sticking out the end of the muzzle brake.
Yeah.
It's happened a few times.
It welds it into the ports is what it
Oh,
does.
really?
Yeah, it doesn't. So you basically got to pull the brake and throw it on a lathe and bore it out to get it to come out of the brake. But-
So it is a bigger deal than what you were.
I mean, it's a bigger deal for your average person.
yeah,
That doesn't have a lathe.
Yeah, exactly.
from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
it's-
It's
yeah,
not a big deal.
Not
Yeah,
a big
just-
deal, but
But you're gonna need a new funnel for sure. You're not getting that funnel back.
No,
Yeah.
no, not something you want to be doing.
But yeah, yeah, I forget where I was going with that, but people talking to you at the range, like you show up with one of these.
Yeah, everyone wants to talk.
Once the old guy
I mean, look at
saunters
this thing.
over and it's
Yeah.
like, what you got there?
It's artwork.
Yeah, you gotta.
This thing's pretty damn eye catching, I will tell you.
Don't you have patents on some stuff too?
The ignition system, yeah, we do have a patent on that. There's the module system. I mean, the module systems have been around for a while, right? But this one, like going back when I started with the muzzleloaders, I was actually building on shotgun primer based systems, which honestly, like you talk about, but simplifying things, like you can get a shotgun primer system to shoot right with this one here, but it's a lot more tinkering. A shotgun primer can't handle as much pressure. Plus, shotgun primers aren't dimensionally consistent, so trying to get it to actually seal in the breech plug is a struggle. So this allows you to put the powder right near the primer, and then since we're actually custom making the modules, the engagement with the plug, you're always going to have 100% seal with this. But so that's the guts of the plug have a carbide bushing in it. If you're like Savage had a vent liner, they called it. It was just a screw with a hole through it, because as the gas travels back through the plug, that hole wears and it changes your ignition profile and stuff with the different holes. Plus, at a certain point, powder can come back through if the hole gets too big. So instead of having to replace the whole breech plug, you just replace that little screw, but it was still steel. So at some point we switched over to tungsten carbide, which in the shotgun primer system, you have to have an expansion chamber basically between the powder and the primer. So you'll still even see wear on the tungsten carbide bushing, not as fast as you would on a screw. But with our system, there's so little gas volume between the primer and the powder, the wear is almost non-existent. I've one buddy, he's a super high volume shooter back in Iowa. He's at, this was 3 or 4 years ago, he was at 1,400 shots on the breech plug, and the opening had worn by a thou. So basically non-existent. Yeah,
It's like triple more shots than I'll ever take in my entire life, probably.
So what kind of then benefits do you see through that system? Basically, just the gases aren't.
Yeah, there's 0% leakage. Having the primer right on the powder is huge for especially for cold weather ignition. Something like the Remington Ultimate, which we do make aftermarket upgrades on, like the Remington Ultimate, the CVA Paramount.
Yeah, because prior to this, I had the Paramount, and I had all your upgrades on my Paramount, and it was a super easy conversion. I did it all myself. I mean, you had good YouTube videos and instructions, so it's easy to do.
Pretty straightforward if you're a little handy. Well, like the Remington Ultimate, that's just swapping the breech plug out. There's nothing to it. The Paramount's a little different because we're actually putting a slotted bullet head in there. But yeah, that's 0% seal. And then, like, I guess where I was going, the Remington Ultimate, that's the ignition system from that is from the Ultimate Firearms, right, from out of Michigan. And I think they were building those like 30 years ago, which 30 years ago they were cutting edge, but it's a crush fit system between the breech plug and the case. But and it works fine, but you can end up with leakage in that interface because it's actually you're doing a crush fit. So if you have a piece of brass that's a little thin or something, and a lot of these systems, if you're not sealed, if you're not sealed one time, the gas comes through and actually gas cuts, and then you're going to have like a little escape valve, even if you have a good piece of brass on the next shot. So it's just going to compound. Where our module system, it actually looks like a little 22 rimfire case on the nipple, and it's sealing on the outside diameter of that nipple, sort of like a rifle cartridge. So the headspace requirement isn't nearly as strict as some of the crush fit systems. But
You touched on something there, like the I don't know what's the word, muzzleloader drummer, like the people, the perceived things. So like cold weather or wet weather or any of that stuff. Like what's the differences there?
Yeah, I think back in Iowa, I remember with that TC Firehawk, it was kind of a drizzling day, not much rain, and I sat there all day with my muzzle pointed straight up, and sure enough, I had a misfire. It's surprising how little moisture it takes to cause a problem.
My brother had a muzzleload tag in Nevada a long time ago, and it was a really big monsoon year. And Nevada obviously gets crazy monsoons, and our muzzleloader deer season starts September 10th. And he had a hang fire on a deer, and it was really wet. But like that's kind of some of the stuff that people think about with muzzleloaders and why they don't want to deal with it.
So when I'm hunting, I electrical tape my muzzle, and then I hunt with a spent module in the breech plug.
That's a good tip, actually. Yeah, to have a spent module.
So an already shot module, just to help seal the.
Yeah, I figure that's sealing on 50,000 psi. Like there's no moisture coming in the breech end, and then the tape on the muzzle. Like tape on the muzzle is a good idea in general. I think for center fire, or
that's
whatever,
rifle or anything. Yeah.
Although I will say I and it's actually in the talk about tinkering in the experiment I need to do. Tape on your suppressor doesn't blow off.
It doesn't blow off.
Does not blow off. So a brake, you're fine, right? Because you got that.
But don't tape your suppressor.
Don't tape your suppressor.
Don't tape your suppressor, really.
I still killed the elk. It
didn't blow the tape
No, there's
off.
a round hole right through the electrical tape on the end of my suppressor. I mean, you think about it, it's carving off all the gas, right? The suppressor. So I need to get back and like see if because it was only like a 250-yard shot. And,
see if it actually does mess with the projectile.
Mess with it that much, yeah. I'm sure it does a little bit. But,
right? I mean, if anything's touching it, I would imagine it's going to affect it to a certain.
I bet, and a lot of those bullets upset so easy too, right? I bet 400 or 500 yards.
Yeah, there you go. There's two good tips.
Yeah, I just really wrote that one down. Like I didn't even think about that one, and I always try to think in my brain like ways to eliminate variables that could happen on a hunt, in which I'm going on a hunt this weekend.
And it's high country. And
it's
probably going to rain.
It's probably going to rain on me, so I'm thinking of all these different things, and never even crossed my mind to put a spent module.
That's just one of those
in there.
It's one of those things that hunters talk about that they don't want to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess it's pretty easy to deal with if you tape it and have an already spent round in there.
And even then, when it's taped and if you have the spent round in there, I mean, if there's a lot of moisture, you should still reload the gun.
Gonna fire off every day.
Every day. I mean, it'll get you through the day, right?
But you'll fire it off that night.
Yeah.
If I'm hunting in rain, I'm just OCD. Like, I think expecting the worst to happen. I mean,
I think most people should be like that, though. Like
the
muzzleloader guys are.
If it's raining at night, I'm not going to do it, right? Because the odds of getting it loaded while it's raining,
dry,
and everything dry. But
so I mean, you get back to camp and pull the breech. Push the bullet out. Do it that way.
No, don't do that.
Oh, don't do that. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. The problem with pulling the breech is like we talked about the headspace not being super tight, but a kernel of powder will mess up your headspace and actually like trying to get a load pushed out the breech without an air compressor handy to just kind of take you're creating a.
So there's a good tip. Always shoot your muzzleloader, guys.
Just shoot it off. It's easier.
So what would you do?
In that situation, I've been trying to think about. That's why I wanted to ask you some of these things because, I know, like, how long are you leaving it in with dry then first? If it's a dry conditions and you're loading it on day one, is it gonna be okay on day 5 potentially?
I would be comfortable.
You'd be comfortable with that?
Yeah. I mean, just scopes get bumped, whatever. You get cold. It's not a bad idea to. If you got an afternoon where nothing's happening to touch off a shot, but
because the last time I had an open sight muzzleloader tag in a similar area where I'm going, I did shoot on like day 3. I just went somewhere else where I wasn't going to be kind of hunting and just took a practice shot. Just figured if I'm going to burn a round out and do it, I might as well practice at something at high elevation, see how my muzzleloader is doing. But are you just get back to camp and just shoot it in the dirt kind of thing?
That's what we would do.
Safe situation, but just unload it. Yeah. So that's something to consider then too. So someone is going into a high country hunt, elk, mule deer, whatever it may be. As I said, elk first is for you.
You did, yep. I appreciate that.
To bring some extra powders, bring some extra bullets, bring some extra primers that are in the modules already, so that way you can accommodate that. Because if you only brought, I'm going to only take 5 rounds for this 3-day hunt, but what if
that's pretty bold?
Yeah.
But with where you're going, Brady, it's pretty safe to say you're going to have afternoon thunder and rainstorms every day.
Every single day.
I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah, it happens. Those afternoon storms.
So would you run off to a different canyon or something and shoot it? Is that what you're saying to do? Shoot it every night?
I think it depends. on like how much moisture.
I mean, like,
but-
I don't like being responsible for misfires, so I'm always
Yeah.
just going to tell
Yeah.
people.
Well,
Like,
that's
if
what
I
I'm
had to
getting at
bet,
is,
you know,
like,
I'd say
it's better to be
he's
safe
got-
than sorry for sure.
That's how
yeah.
that's where my mind's at, is like,
Yeah.
I would have no issues doing that. I would just rather know
Yeah,
from a professional
that's
beforehand.
what I would do.
Like, if
Still
I'm
have a
going in the
smart
high
decision.
country and I'm going to get a thunderstorm every single afternoon, which is a guarantee back there,
Yeah.
then I would just make plans to, run 1,000 yards down a ridge somewhere, shoot into a different canyon, and be
Yeah.
done. Reload it.
Another thing I've done, which isn't quite conducive to success when I'm hiking around, but I feel like if I'm hiking moving country, I'm not technically hunting anyway. I'm not going to jump a buck and want to shoot it. So a
Yeah.
lot of times I haven't loaded until I
yeah.
know I'm going to go on a stalk. But again, I could kick a buck up any time and be like, shoot, I wish I had that muzzleloader loaded right now. That'd be really great. And not have to, going through the loading process, just because I'm kind of, like you said, OCD about leaving something in there. So I don't like to keep it in there very long if I don't have to, just because I like things perfect and I feel like I'm doing something smart by not loading it until I have to load it and doesn't have to sit in there and get moisture. And
I definitely wouldn't leave it loaded for more than 4 or 5 days. It actually turns into a safety issue because you've got dissimilar metals. Copper, likes to corrode, and you can almost get a weld where it sticks in there and spikes your pressure on the load.
Interesting.
So you say like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, 4 to 5 days, you're fine.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of days to be loaded.
Yeah. I mean, I see guys I've seen the pressure, like the load will fire off a year late. Well, you see it with Civil War discoveries or whatever. Like, stuff stays potent for a long time if it's dry. But especially with blackhorn, with its semi corrosive nature and copper, I definitely wouldn't go more than that 4 or 5 days.
Were you already planning on that?
Yeah,
Like
the
a
4 or 5
4 to
day
5,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. But I was, like I
Those
said,
really
the spent
good tips,
module and the breach, that was a new one. That's why I'm glad I had you guys.
The other thing we've run into,
and for where you're going, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
It's a very good tip.
With smokeless powder, the kernel size is a little smaller, and once in a while you'll get a kernel that perfectly
comes back
centers
out.
the flash hole, falls through, actually falls into the bolt, and a kernel of powder will prevent your firing pin from striking.
One kernel?
One
Yeah,
kernel.
One kernel.
Really?
Yeah.
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 So it's always good practice just to leave a spent module in it when you load it, and then take it out and put the new module in. That way the module's protecting
Blackhorn
the
kernels
bolt
are quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, it's
than
not
that,
big.
With
but
Blackhorn, it doesn't
with
matter, but-
smokeless, the kernel size is smaller, where you could potentially get one falling.
I mean,
through.
it's kind of a 1 in a million thing, but it could
It
happen.
happened on
Yeah.
one guy with the big buck. It's always a big buck, right?
It's like, if anything is going to happen, right?
That's-
Like
it's
Brady,
weird.
Omar and I were doing a gear list the other day, and Omar, I had my extras bag, like all my extra batteries, all my extra this, and he goes, Brady told me to put my rangefinder battery in my bino harness, because when he had his rangefinder go dead, it was while he was stalking an antelope and needed the range.
And my backpack was at my truck because I don't need my backpack right now. I just
Right.
need a rifle and a rangefinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was out there, went click my rangefinder and it was dead.
And I immediately
Couldn't kill the buck.
We were filming the gear list, and literally in it live, I'm like, that is a phenomenal thought.
Yeah.
Like, that's going in my bino harness, so I have it right here. Because if it's gonna happen, like if it's gonna go wrong, why would it not be
Right.
when it is a big buck?
That
right?
happened
When
to
it
me
is a
last
big
year on
bull.
an antelope hunt.
Like, why would it not happen then? If it
Yeah.
is gonna happen, that's when
That's when the deer wants it to happen.
correct.
Yeah.
That's just it's the nature of. It's Murphy's Law. Like, it's just the nature of it. It's not going to
Yeah.
go dead while you're at the range. It's going to go dead while you're 50 yards from a buck and need to take an archery shot. And It's
Yep.
dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you guys are saying, it's way better safe than sorry. Like, why not do it?
I'd say the number one cause of misfires we run into are actually from people like Brady that clean too much.
I clean a lot.
Yeah.
I do.
Oil will
Not afraid
definitely
to
cause,
do
cause misfires.
Again, I'm the exact opposite. I will not clean until I
Yeah.
absolutely have to, until everything's just not right.
It'd be
And I'm
scary
like,
to
okay,
tell you
that's-
guys too how many times I clean my rifles. Rifles are even more. It's like I go to the range, I clean that day.
You may
That's
be
crazy.
switching to that large diameter before it's all said and
Yeah,
done.
no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on one thing too, because we're talking about a little bit about cleaning, but like, so talking about maintenance of your modules, like what kind of maintenance is required for that? Cleaning them.
Can I just ask a quick 101 question from the professionals?
Yeah.
How often do you clean it? What's like the proper?
And when accuracy degrades, like, so really
Yeah.
it's when loaded, like, so with smokeless, I actually, as an experiment, went like 200 shots without cleaning with smokeless ones. And it started to get choppy to load and stuff, but accuracy was still fine. So really when you're, if you're back in the Midwest hunting with smokeless powder, end of the season. With Blackhorn, usually we see like 10 to 20 shots before the fouling gets built up too much and loading.
So call it 15.
Yeah.
So like people should plan on 15.
And at that point, it's really not a deep clean. It's just one patch with like Hoppy's number 9 and some solvent in and out, and then a couple of dry patches just to knock that fouling down a little
Don't
bit.
ask Brady how often then.
Oh,
I wanted the 101 answer, not the Brady answer. Okay, now you can get in the details of the components here.
I mean, I've been cleaning right now. I mean, every time I go to the range, I usually shoot like 7 to 9 shots because that's like the amount of heat in the morning. That's all I can really get off by letting things cool. So like I'm cleaning every 9 shots. I'm not too crazy, I don't think.
Are you just cleaning from the muzzle, or are you like pulling the breech?
Half the time I'm cleaning from the muzzle. Half the time I'm pulling the breech. So it's probably
okay.
It's a full clean. It's a full clean.
That's pretty in depth.
Clean.
Yeah.
I remember when I was young and like Brady too, and had free time.
That's why I was up till 1:30 last night. I was I deep cleaned this thing yesterday.
That's why we
we
nitride them, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, Lorenzo's glad it doesn't smell like rotten eggs in here.
Yeah, he was saying
I can
Dude,
still
you're cleaning.
faintly smell it.
every day the last 3 weeks I've been shooting 3-4 times a week. And
Every time I walk into your office, I'm like, you got to put up a sign so people don't think it's you. Like, you got to put up a sign.
the Blackhorn 209 smells a little bit.
Practice has definitely become more important, right?
Yeah.
With the onset of peep sights and
Yeah, that's why I just go to the range all the time.
Yeah.
It's like I need reps down.
Yeah,
I
for
killed my
sure.
bull last year, felt really confident, but like this year I need to be more confident because I'm going from an elk to a deer size target.
Yeah.
some
And
of
just
those.
being able to line up those peeps that's the tricky thing. I think it's just being able to do that and be able to see the target.
Yeah.
See, that's why elk are better too. It's just a yellow school bus
Yellow
on
school
the side
bus.
of a mountain. You can tell if you're on it. When you got a gray deer on gray rock,
Yeah.
You're
a
not
little
wrong.
different. Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
little
but even
different.
even cleaning, I'll say in this before I jump in the module thing though. So cleaning down the bore to the breech plug, like I do lose patches down the bottom quite a bit, and I have to take a little jag to like go back in there
so
to grab it out.
Are you using the patch around a brush trick?
Yeah,
The like 45 cal brush?
yeah. I still lose.
Really?
A
Really?
few of them. Yeah,
Huh.
not too often, but if I
Yeah.
try to do it on a jag, I'll definitely lose them on
Yeah,
a jag.
Yeah, you
you're
got to
losing.
do it on a brush if you're
Yeah.
not going to pull the plug.
I don't even know what you guys are saying there.
Yeah, so just like instead keeping the breech plug in the barrel and then doing some cleaning at the range, just minimum clean, just to knock a bunch of the fouling off in the barrel and just running it.
How long
down
a
couple-
brush are you using?
My rifle brush,
So like
42. Oh, the brush itself.
Yeah,
Oh,
like-
it's just a
Is it
whatever the standard
like-
3-inch.
okay.
Yeah, 2-inch or 3-inch, whatever it
Oh,
is.
that's weird.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
too often, but I notice
Yeah.
it enough where I'm like, dang, I always have to have my little tool to go down the barrel and get it out because like I want to take a brush on a hunt
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, it's
you know,
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
to like shoot.
Actually, I have it. I need to send. Well, it's probably too late now. I actually have an attachment adapter that screws in the end of the ramrod. That.
Because I
for a
noticed on the
brush.
inside it is threaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's threaded deep, but I have to like shove a brush really far in there to get to the threads.
Yeah, I've got an adapter that converts it.
So you're going to bring a brush on your hunt?
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
Just in case I have to shoot maybe a couple times because of the rain and just want to break some of that fouling out. That's from the Blackhorn 209.
Yeah, I mean, personally,
I mean-
I wouldn't. But I would just load. Make
Just
sure load and go with it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where like the first shot. You see the velocity spike with
Yeah.
the smooth bore, and you usually settles down on the second or third shot, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're pretty consistent for
But
10 to 20 shots.
Say like your front sight gets messed and you have to sight it back in.
Yeah.
You would need a brush or something, right?
No, I mean,
Probably not. in that
Depends
case.
on how good you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just bring it back there because I'm going so far in.
Yeah.
I have to cross so many mountain ranges.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not bring something that if shit does hit the fan, I can potentially
That's
stay
how
back
my
there
mind.
and work
That's
on
how
it a
my
little
mind
bit.
works too.
Are you
But it-
are you bringing the breech removal tools
Yeah.
too? Yeah. I'd throw a couple of Q-tips in there.
Yep, I
Just
have Q-tips. I have some patches. I have extra little globe inserts
Okay.
in the front just in case I shove a stick down it. Like I'm just trying to think of like obviously I don't want to carry the breech plug removal. Like that's heavy because I have to carry the socket set. But I'm so far in. I want it to go
Right.
smoothly. I don't want to have to be like, hey, I got this buck right there. Something maybe I
Not gonna drop out
got
for
soaked.
2
I fell in
days.
the
the
mud.
moment you throw the bullet in before the powder. And,
Yeah, like I get so excited. Like I just don't
Yeah.
know. Like obviously they're stupid simple to use, but like
Yeah.
Well, this
just
is
so far
what
in.
I'm getting at just as a 101 guy. Because I mean, if I can draw like this tag that Brady has, I'm gonna hunt it for sure. but I want to be prepared for those kinds of things too, right? So
Right.
like that's the way my mind works. I'm not going to want to drop out for a day and a half to go fix something when I could just, if I just knew what to bring
Right.
back there, I would just bring
we
it back
actually we did a little tool bag kit we send with everything that has most of your essentials to pull the breech plug, prime the modules, powder scale. So
So I would take that back.
I mean,
there
it's a
and
little
be
big
covered.
to take in the back country.
Yeah,
Like what we
yeah.
send out, you're probably not going to take in the
Okay.
back country.
But
you could take a little bit of everything that's in there, make your own little bag, throw it in your backpack,
Yeah.
and take it with you
See,
for
I'm
sure.
just preparing for the future when I
Yeah.
can go shoot the buck that Brady doesn't kill.
So,
Your number 2 buck.
hey, my number
But
2
by the
buck.
time he grows up, it'll be
It'd be a number 1 buck. by then.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's my plan.
And so then what kind of essentials do you take in the field? If let's say we're going on a backpack hunt.
well, I'm not your guy to talk to about backpack. I grew up in Iowa, so
I'm not your guy to talk to either. I'm a guy that likes to stay within an
Yeah,
hour of the
you're not-
truck.
you're not
typically.
truck hunt.
I think your list is good. A brush, the breech removal tools, some
Yeah.
Q-tips. That's the essentials.
Yeah, I'm just carrying a few patches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, extra modules. Obviously, enough powder in the vials, and I will say too, like I do appreciate the vials with the screw tops on them. In the high country, I don't know if it's pressure or something like that. Like I've had those old, Blackhorn 209 tubes. I've had them pop off
really?
just in my backpack. Even though they do seem like you use them at the range all the time, they push on there and lock. So I started
I've even
electrical
noticed
taping
that.
them
Yeah.
just to make sure, another peace of mind thing. And then now with the screw top ones, like that's just
It's a good
it,
idea.
it makes it easy to not have to worry about it, and obviously run something down to remove all the static out. But
Yeah, you can use like a dryer sheet if your tubes have static in them. That's a
Yeah.
good little tip.
yeah,
That is a good tip. Mm-hmm. You got
It's
any
a-
dryer sheets?
yeah. I'm not
course you do.
taking it with me in the hunt, but
No,
I've
I know.
already ran
Yeah.
the dryer sheets down to remove static.
But yeah, back to cleaning the modules. With smokeless, I don't really do much with them. Blackhorn, they will end up. It's brass, so they will corrode after a year. At your point, I wouldn't be doing anything with them. Right before a hunt, I'd just load them and go. But whatever solvent, let them soak in that overnight. Hoppy's number 9 works fine. I think it'd be fine to put them through a tumbler like regular rifle brass.
Yeah, I've been putting mine through my little stainless steel pins
Okay.
a little bit, but those are some of the ones I had from the last few years, and just like trying to make them look pretty again and try to get the primer pockets. Do you ever uniform primer pockets?
I don't just
Like the only thing I thought of doing is just remove the Blackhorn 209 residue that's kind of sitting in there, or the leftover primer.
Yeah, we do run them on the tight side, the pockets,
Yeah.
just because when they wear out, it's from loose primer pockets. So we find if we start them a little on the tight side, they last longer.
How long what's your expected lifespan?
With Blackhorn, 25 or 30 cycles on
So
the
yeah, it's
module.
They last a while.
A long time.
Yeah. Smokeless, the higher pressure smokeless loads probably 10 to 15 per. So we did quite a while. More shooting than
Yeah.
you're ever going to do.
Correct.
No. We do got to jump into something before I get more muzzleloader talk. We need to hit him with the promo code.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to talk
We're only
about
51 minutes in. Way to go on that one, Brady. now
Hey,
we're in
just-
trouble.
I want to talk about
Is it
muzzleloader.
earlier than normal? So we're not in trouble.
Half the time we're earlier than normal.
Hey, here we go. Look at us.
We're good.
We're doing good.
We're good.
Just got the okay by the producer. We're doing good.
So we should hit him with the promo code. But first,
Okay.
before the promo code, I want to do like a what's new at GOHUNT here quick.
Okay.
So basically, in the shop, if you haven't seen, we have a bunch of new GOHUNT apparel.
We do.
The merino, our basin merino hoodie, long sleeve that you guys have been wearing quite a bit, and you're taking it on your elk hunt coming up.
Yes, I am.
We have the GOHUNT midweight merino socks.
Yes.
We have new added to the gear shop, dark energy, power banks, and solar panels. So those are pretty slick. You've seen their lightweight solar panel. I can't
Yeah,
remember
we're taking them.
Yeah. The Nima tarp, I'm going to be using that.
I'm
going
gonna
to have
be
my
using that as
muzzleloader
well.
underneath my tarp the whole entire time when I'm out hunting, so that thing's going to stay dry. Good plug.
Just wrap the whole thing up in it.
Just wrap the whole muzzleloader in a Dyneema tarp.
There you go. It's a
All
great
right.
use for Dyneema.
All right, that's the new thing we're going to have to do. We're going to make a Dyneema muzzleloader cover.
You guys
socks.
in?
I need socks. What do you have for socks? I need.
Yeah, just use some socks.
No, I'm not even joking. I need to pick up.
Oh, you
some
need some
socks.
Yeah.
I need some socks.
Our merino socks are awesome.
All right, do you
Yes.
have a lighter weight one?
Yes,
Sweet.
it's a lightweight merino. It's
Okay.
awesome.
There you go, Luke.
All right, I'll have to hit
Yup.
Paul up in the lobby on my way
Yeah.
out.
And then, if you guys are signing up for an insider account, use promo code podcast when you sign up. You can get 50 points back to the GOHUNT Gear Shop to buy some food, buy some gear, buy whatever you need to do. So promo code podcast, get you insider, which has maps, all the research tools.
How to get muzzleloader tags.
How to get muzzleloader tags, yep.
Nice job, Brady.
I just want to throw that in real quick.
Way to save us.
Way to save, yeah. Trell will be proud of me for doing that while he's out.
Nice. Honestly, though, the merino, the hooded merino, I'm extremely proud of that piece. Thing's awesome.
Really?
It's really good, yeah. Like, really good. We spent a lot
Like
of time
durability?
everything. Wearability, durability, comfort. It's long tail cut, so you don't have to tuck it in. It's like merino, for whatever reason, everybody seems to cut the merinos like pretty short in the torso.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. We're fit Nazis around here. Like, it's sizing and fit are two very different things, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, the fit is more important than the size. I don't really care what size I wear in it. I just want it to fit a certain way.
For sure.
And yeah, it's awesome.
You don't feel like a plumber every time you bend over.
We actually, our marketing we just put out was it's not going to give you the plumber's crack.
Oh, nice.
Really? We
It's
did
long,
that?
yes.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's out. It's long tail cut. It's awesome.
I
Did
just
a really
always
good job
have
with it.
problems with durability. I love merino. That's like
Yeah.
primarily what I would wear. You know, like a 145 merino from KU or something like that.
Ours
but
is
I just
130 GSM.
okay.
It's awesome.
But I just tore the shit out of all of them.
I'll get you one when you leave today and let us know what you think about it.
Okay, we'll
It's
do.
awesome. Kevin did a really good job with that. Anyways, it's my soapbox on the merino.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Back to muzzleloaders, though.
Back to muzzleloaders.
I want you walk me through the build that I have right in front of me. Like when people are going to call you up, order muzzleloader, like what are options?
So, I mean, we're full custom shop, right? I mean, we do plenty of spec builds. You hop on our website right now. We have a few in stock.
Cool.
This time of year, it's kind of slim pickings, right? But
Yeah.
we'll build off of pretty much any platform you want. But we have our Arrowhead Obsidian action at the core of it. It's got the slotted bolt face now for the primer module, makes it a lot easier to load. Prior to that, we were using like a Remington 700 and actually having to hook the primer module into the bolt face, which not the end of the world, but if you
It's a
got
pain.
fat fingers
Yeah.
or gloves on, it's a little bit harder. So that makes that easier. We use Trigger Tech triggers, so this I think is a Trigger Tech primary. Set it at 2 pounds. Nice crisp trigger.
I might have adjusted that already.
I would.
Not as
I can get behind you on that one.
Yeah.
I want a little lighter.
We're right down the road from McMillan there in Phoenix. We use a lot of McMillan stocks. This is their Game Warden LR. We've been using
Terrible
this.
name for a stock. Game
Game
Warden?
Warden. I know.
Game Warden.
I really like. I love. McMillan does great stocks, but they're like they've got the Game Warden 1.0, which looks nothing like this, and then the Game Warden 2.0. Like they really need to just start coming up with better names. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear Game Warden when they're out there.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. I mean that's why you wear camouflage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Not for the animals.
Yeah. I think I already said we use Brooks or Bartlett barrels, cut rifled, hand lapped. I've seen a lot of button rifled barrels shoot great too. I think that's kind of a misnomer that button rifled barrels won't shoot, but I feel like the cut rifled holds the dimensions to a closer tolerance for what we need for a no sizing bullet solution. 3-port break on the end that we do that in house. You can get a little more reduction with bigger brakes, but they get aesthetically they don't look as good, and it's diminishing returns too, right? You add a bunch of weight from you go with a bigger 4-port brake or something, and don't see that much return for
Yeah, I don't think
recoil
most guys could even tell the difference between a 3-port and a 4-port, to be
Probably,
honest.
Yeah, I
So,
think most of the gas is gone by the time you get to the 4th port. So, I think Aaron Davidson has done a bunch of studies that the first 2 ports are what do most.
yeah, I
of the
think after
braking,
the 2nd port, the 3rd port's like 7% or something,
Yeah,
and then after that, it
on
like
our-
dumps hard.
I can't remember the exact, but on our podcast, he said if anybody's trying to sell you 4 or more ports, it's like it's really
It's a looks thing for sure.
It's just a
Yeah.
snake oil thing.
I will say on our big boomers, we build some. They're more for like the Iowa hunter that drives their 4-wheeler within 100 yards of the blind or right
Yeah.
up to the blind. They start at like 12, 13 pound rifle weight. I think the 4-port helps on those, but we're running some really big doses of slow burning powder, getting over 3,000 feet per second with a 300
Gosh.
Yeah, it's
Oh shit!
it's pretty awesome.
For a whitetail,
Yeah.
just picks it up off its feet and lays it down.
Yeah, it's graphic at times.
I will say a break on a muzzleloader though is a treat to
Oh,
shoot
my
behind.
word. Yeah,
I've shot them before back in the day without brakes, and it's like you just dread going to the range.
They are dumping a lot of gas, so the brakes are super effective on them. I've had a lot of guys, I don't need a brake, and then inevitably
They call.
They call.
They
back.
all call.
Yeah.
and want it right afterwards.
Yeah.
They all call.
Yeah, I won't test fire them without a brake.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're buying a build that I'm test firing, it's gonna have a brake on it.
Yeah.
So you definitely want earplugs in when you touch it off, but
I'm sure.
Yeah, they're loud.
Yep.
How does the suppressor do on a muzzleloader?
really well. Like I bought a silencer co-hybrid probably like a decade ago, and the noise reduction's phenomenal. That anchor brake on the end of the silencer co-hybrid really does a good job on recoil. Like probably the best recoil reduction I've had was with that silencer co-hybrid with the anchor brake. I don't know how. I probably wouldn't do it with Blackhorn 209. I think it would foul your baffles like beyond belief, unless you have a can you can completely disassemble and clean. The one issue I ran into back in Iowa was the humidity. Initially, I just took the suppressor off every time to load, and I got tedious, so I made myself a long enough funnel to load through. And it was a damp day, but I noticed substantial velocity drop on my third shot after I was just loading and shooting right away, but pulled the suppressor and I could actually see condensation in the barrel. So that's something you have to watch out for, but they work really well.
But overall, it does work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like in a hunting situation where you're most likely going to be one and done.
Yeah. If you're Brady.
Yeah.
That's
Your
what,
mirror
that's what I
trail.
strive for. But the internet sometimes makes fun of me because I do miss as well. And it's like, well, this
No,
happened to
Brady,
some
you're not
branches.
allowed to miss. No one's
It
allowed to
happens.
miss.
That's why I practice all the time.
Yeah.
Try to avoid that.
I tripled in Iowa on the late doe season with a suppressed muzzleloader that I unscrewed every shot. I've never told
Yeah, I
Jake
didn't
this.
know
I was prone right. I had it all planned out because late season they come out at night heading to the food source, and it was right next to a cedar tree, and they were about 300 yards out, and shot the first one and did like 2 rolls back behind the cedar, stood up, unscrewed it, loaded it back up, rolled back over, shot another one, step and repeat.
That's awesome. I wish that was on film.
Yeah,
So do
That's
I.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, you got Tiger Woods never misses a green.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan never missed a shot. You guys aren't allowed to do that.
Okay.
Okay? It's perfection only, according to the internet.
Does
Yeah.
make you think a lot more about that first trigger pull, like
It does,
making
yeah.
sure
Yeah.
everything's
For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's inevitable. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's inevitable. Literally.
Yeah, you
it's
get the
gonna
perfect setup in
happen.
the world, and just something goes wrong.
Something-
You mentally break down.
Yeah, variables. Bad shot. Bad shots happen.
Yeah.
They do.
But
Yeah.
that's my rant on the internet. The
Internet's
internet
fun.
trolls.
Internet's fun.
Yeah.
What else we got on here that you want to talk about?
That's kind of the attached. So the ramrod, attached ramrod. We have a really nice 3-piece ramrod as well. Pops out like a tent pole, super rigid.
I know you talked about before. Do you see any real point of impact shift differences between a ramrod attached and a detached
Well, so
ramrod
our
system?
system actually doesn't put tension on the barrel, so it'll shoot to the same.
Makes we have a little bit of tiny bit of movement. Well,
Yeah.
I have the tape on there right now. She's not gonna be able to move it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was working on developing that, the old system I had was a lot harder to install correctly. I was at the range with a local customer buddy, and we were shooting, and he first shot he went straight to 700 yards, and dead center on the steel. And then he's like, I'd shot the gun like 4 times at 100 yards to get it zeroed, which isn't uncommon with these things. I mean, Brady can confirm it's 2 or 3 shots and you're zero just because of the consistency and the accuracy we've talked about. But he came back, he's like, I'm gonna bring it in a little bit and shoot at 400, and he shot, and he was like, I don't know, 12 inches over the target at 400 yards. And like, what the heck? And he went back and shot it again and smoked it. And I just noticed he had the ramrod out for one shot, and I messed up the install, and it was putting some tension on the barrel. And it was when I went back and after I fixed it and shot it, he was about 3 MOA high is what the tension was doing. So you can, it's just like a scope cap contacting your barrel or something. Like you can definitely, or if you're not free floated on your barrel, you can shift your point of impact around. So the ramrod, if there's tension on the barrel, is definitely a problem. But the way we install it, there's no difference. Aesthetically, some people like the looks of no ramrod. For a backcountry hunt, I would 100% be going with the attached ramrod, because
I like the attached ramrod. It just shows
it's a muzzleloader.
That's the thing too. Like people out in the field before, when you'd have scoped muzzleloaders in a lot of these western states, if you had a muzzleloader out there without a ramrod attached, it kind of looked like a rifle.
It looked exactly.
Game warden was glassing you up like, hey, you have a rifle there?
You're going to be set up on something, and the game warden's going to be like, dude, it's muzzleload season, while you're about ready to take the shot.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have the 3-piece, you go on a hill to glass, right? You set it down, you walk off. 5 hours later, where's my ramrod?
I've left a few scattered around Iowa.
So
aesthetically, I love the attached ramrod. Just shows it's a muzzleloader. Shows it's different.
And it's not hurting anything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the core, I think that's pretty much it. We run flush cups on the side of the left side of the gun there. I feel like once you run flush cups like that, you're
hard to go back.
Never go back to traditional sling studs.
Yeah, that was getting in the way. Shooting bags or whatever in the rear and hang up. And
so when you like, if I bought one of these, it's coming dialed, like it's coming.
It'll come zero.
We go shoot it to zero, R0. Especially with a heavy gun like this with a slow bullet, and then the peep sight definitely adds another factor. But my zero is probably not the same as your zero, just because
we hold different.
And there's so much inertia from that bullet, a relatively light gun. Like it's really easy to change points of impact, but which ties it back into practicing being important and shooting from different positions. But we shoot them to zero, make sure everything's good before we send them out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if it's if they buy it with a scope on it, if they buy a scope from us, we shoot it with the scope that it's shooting with when we test fire it. And
the cheating muzzleloaders with the scope.
Yeah.
They are cheating.
They're single shot rifles.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
The other thing with Brady's muzzleloader here is it's all nitride coated.
Oh,
so something to be said for that, right? If you're shooting Blackhorn, you should definitely look at getting your barrel nitrided. Just because inevitably, no matter how much you clean, even if you're the Brady Millers of the world, you will get some sort of rust and pitting over time. And the nitride actually coats the bore, whereas like Cerakote is just on the outside, right? And so it'll protect the outside, but your bore isn't coated, and the nitride coats the bore. So it's pretty important if you're a Western hunter shooting Blackhorn.
It's important for Brady.
Very important.
It looks good too.
It does.
It does look really good. Yeah. And the fluting too. It's like.
Yeah.
This is probably our most common like Western hunting package. We call it our Orion. Yeah. So it's.
How much is this?
So Brady, went with the crazy paint. That's an add-on, but at like a base color, that's 5,500 is what and that's 50 bullets, 25 primer modules, the accessories you need to get going. So really
everything but powder and primers.
Powder and primers you have to track down, but otherwise it shows up with everything
for 55, and that's without the peep. So that's without the optic. Yeah. So just the gun is 55.
What about this peep setup?
So that's the Revic
from Gunworks, which is like it retails for $1,250.
Yeah.
Our price is $1,300 to install it and shoot it. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So that gun as it sits with a basic color would be $6,800 out the door. Plus shipping, because it's not cheap to ship guns and insure them. Right.
No, it's definitely not.
And we should mention that these go to an FFL because they are built on a rifle action. So.
Yeah.
Can't ship them to your front door? Like
no,
the other
unfortunately, no. I looked into that, but based on the research I did, like you can just start, I could be totally wrong, but I haven't done it, so I'm not breaking any laws, right? It's all in theory, but you can just go design an action and call it a muzzleloader action and start shipping it. But the ATF can show up,
Any day.
and say, oh, no, we call that a rifle.
Yeah.
But then to get approval is like anywhere from 18 to 24 months if you're lucky, and then you don't even know what ruling you're getting. So we suck it up and
it's
run
not that
it all.
hard to ship it to an FFL.
No,
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Everyone's used to that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just with a high dollar item like this. I'm sure you see it with the component, like shipping to someone's residence it's a little sketchy sometimes. Like if it's going to a business, like it's usually a safer transition for the firearm and all that stuff.
When
So
people are ordering optics and they're just shipping to their front door and sitting on their front porch, it's like, okay, this is a little dangerous.
Yeah. But I mean, from here, just to kind of touch on all the packages, from here you can like step it down, right? So you could go no fluting, no nitride coating, and you're going to be like 4,900-ish?
Yeah,
somewhere like right in there, like the high fours. So a lot of guys that are Midwest whitetail hunting, they don't need fluting.
Yeah.
They don't need nitride because they're shooting smokeless, so it's not as important. So we can get them a gun. You go with like a radial break, which will save you some money. You can do like a smokeless custom build for like 4,750, 4,800. And then we can obviously do like the gun that we did for Porter, carbon barrel, kind of the whole 9 Trigger Tech Diamond, and that's going to be right around 9,000 without an optic. So I mean,
it's
or 7,000, 7,000. Usually it's 9,000 with an optic. So 7,000 without an optic. So kind of anywhere from high fours to 7,000, anywhere in between based on what you want.
Yeah.
We also, touching on other budget items, we've got aftermarket barrels for Remington and Savage
Prefits.
If you're familiar with swapping barrels out, that's an option. We also have Encore barrels as well. We don't run them as hard as a full-on bolt gun build, but they're
I mean, to like 300 yards
every day, all day long.
For a lot of guys like in the Midwest, they're not shooting past 250, but they want something that's shooting consistent, at 200 to 300 yards, and those are a lot better of an option.
Even on this peep, what do you call this, the globe sight and peep sight? Like even on this, getting past 300 yards is no joke. Like it's tough shot.
So I want to ask you, after shooting it, because you came out last year with us and shot it before your elk hunt when you borrowed Jim's gun.
Yep.
How much of a difference from that first time to now have you seen, as far as like accuracy?
Such a big difference. Like I feel
It's huge,
so confident now. That's like we were saying at lunch and stuff like that. Like it's just time behind the weapon. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like the gun can shoot better than I can obviously aim with the open sight. Like it is difficult, to line up the rear and the front and just practicing, make sure you're fully centered the whole time. But like last year I shot a bunch. This year I've shot even more. And it's like I got multiple muzzleloader hunts. I'm trying to do my desert bighorn U-tag with my muzzleloader. So it's like range time has been everything right now. I feel so confident going out there.
He's been shooting a ton.
So going into this hunt, like what's your range? Like in your mind, your effective range on a mule deer.
I can verify by the smell of the office that he's been shooting a ton.
Yeah.
Every day I walk in, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, last year I shot my bull 280 yards with open sight, and that was with snow in the background. It made it a little bit easier to go above it, come down on the bull, and I was fully confident. Hit it several times. I'm hoping to keep it under 250, but I'm confident. 325, 350 if need be with this setup right now. I'm like shooting it, and I did switch this year to the more open circle crosshair.
You got rid of the insert?
Yeah, the insert was just the crosshair, and now I have the open circle one, and I think that one's really key because like when I'm practicing right now, I have the certain size circle on my target that I can take and line that up at 100 yards, so I know it's perfectly centered. So I know my 0 at 100 is absolutely money. Like I practice more at 100 than I do any other difference or distance because I just want to make sure that is perfect. So the peep sight, that's how I'm getting around that by lining that circle with another circle. And this allows me to line up the rear and the front to get practice on that. And then, going to 200. 200 is really easy right now. And then I've been practicing at 300 and I'm practicing at 400. And obviously I'm going to drop it back to hunt. But like, I can shoot at 400 at the range, but that's way different than going into the high country.
Gray animal.
Yeah, especially in mule deer, right? A lot different.
Yeah, it's going to be very situational. Because like as you guys, I told you before, I had to walk away from my bull last year with 30 minutes of light left. I couldn't see through the peep sight. I couldn't see through it to make an ethical shot. And so I elected to back out, which was the hardest thing ever. But the bull was right there because it snowed that night. I killed him the next day. So as long as the deer, I think the right sun conditions, not like having sun come in, like facing into the peep to blow me out. And then having that nice green background, hopefully.
Some sort of contrast.
Some sort of contrast to be able to see that buck.
That's the biggest thing.
If I'm aiming into shadows, obviously that's going to be a little bit different story. And I'm probably going to have to cut the
deer
distance.
standing in shale rock and it's cloud cover, that's going to change a lot.
Big time.
Yeah, so it's going to be
change a lot.
situational to me, but I feel really, really confident, 300 yards and in.
Yeah.
I can hit all the shots.
Yeah.
Multiple
What are you
times.
guys seeing for distance and kill shots?
A lot of that 300 to 400 yard range.
I mean, we've had some guys stretch it out right on elk, kind of maybe further than they should, but I mean, guys have made some pretty far shots in elk with the peep sight. But there's a lot of guys killing elk like 300 to 350, like no problem.
Yeah.
Killing them.
I think it was really surprising to us, like how effective. I was expecting 300 on in when a lot of these regulations moved out, and after spending a lot of time now, almost 2 years really behind the peep sights a lot, like 300 to 400 yards. If you put your time in, totally doable, provided the conditions.
Yeah, the conditions are everything. Your target contrast is everything through a peep sight. But like for me, the reason I asked you like the difference from last year to this year, I remember the first time I shot this peep. It was the first time I'd ever shot a peep. I could almost not. I mean, how big are those silhouettes?
Yeah,
they're not small.
You were struggling.
They're not small, okay? And I couldn't hit them. And I feel like I'm a pretty good shooter.
Yeah.
And I could not hit at like 200 yards. I was struggling, and I just wasn't comfortable with a peep. Granted, we did figure out taking out the rear aperture helped quite a bit for me to give you a bigger field of view because it was just so constricted. But after I would say even the second trip, I was almost twice as confident.
Yeah.
And then the third, fourth, fifth trip, like now I think probably 50% of the time I can hit the silhouette at 500 yards with a peep.
Yeah.
At the range, right?
It's night and day
500
what
yards is
range time
Yeah.
does with these.
I mean, we have a gong at the range we shoot at that's like 650.
Yeah.
And
Jim Graham cold bore, 640 yards.
and it is a gray
Really?
gong on a gray background. And you can, I mean, like Jim hits it almost 50% of the time, like, third of the time, which is pretty crazy for a peep sight.
Yeah, that's
Like
wild.
they're extremely accurate as long as you have good contrast.
The
on your
contrast is
target.
key. Like if you're going to go out there and put a white piece of paper that you shoot at with your rifle, like you ain't going to be able to see anything out there. You can't see those lines. You can't see anything. Even if you do like some of the guys here in the office have these like green circles and like little orange circles. I can't see those at 100 yards. So I'm slightly colorblind. So I'm like
very
disadvantaged.
colorblind.
Yeah, it's very colorblind. So I'm disadvantaged there. So it's like all about contrast to me. So that's why sometimes I have a hard time going to a public or a private range I have a paid member for because the targets are just painted differently. So that's why I have to like bring my own stuff out there or go to the desert and shoot it to get practice and learn the contrast. And I'm also trying to test shooting at stuff that's harder to shoot too. Like I'll try to shoot at a piece of cardboard that I shape like a deer because I know that's going to be the situation.
More so what you're aiming at. Yeah.
I feel like going into in New Mexico banned scopes, and I expected maybe a downturn in how many muzzleloaders we were going to do, but I think we've seen a spike if anything, and really there's a good case for it because from what I'm seeing is most guys are 1 to 2 MOA shooters with a peep sight, and if you stack that on top of a 1 to 2 MOA muzzleloader, you're all of a sudden you're a 2 to 4 MOA effective shot, which that tops you out at like 200 yards probably. Where you can assume this is a half or you sub MOA at least, and add that to 1 to 2 MOA aiming accuracy, and 3
Stretch
MOA
it a little bit,
gets you out there quite a bit further on elk. Plus the confidence factor of shooting with peep sights. It's like, oh, that I shanked that one. Was it me or was it the gun? I mean, with this, it was you, and you can make adjustments from that. And
There's
much of
guessing,
archery, like it's almost takes you to the archery world where it's like follow through and confidence in your shot is so critical. And this, if you do everything right, you're gonna hit what you shoot at.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys saw the opening, right? Like where there's going to be a lot more tags available.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys are just not going to want to mess with a muzzleloader without a scope, which is understandable. But for a lot of guys that don't mind, I think it was like, well, I'm going to get the most badass muzzleloader I can get.
Yeah,
Just start drawing
absolutely.
tags like crazy.
I'm going to get these primo tags and take one of these setups out
Exactly.
there.
Yeah,
The guys were willing.
I haven't looked at the New Mexico stats, but I know they did get better.
Yeah, I don't remember. You guys probably know better than I do, but I remember just like through our outfitter, the first year they did it, it was like a third of the applicants or something. I mean, it was significantly less applicants for muzzleloader tags.
in the West is traditionally the lowest applied for.
Yeah.
I mean, there's outliers, obviously, because, there's muzzleload rut elk hunts in Nevada, which there's really nothing. I mean, archery kind of goes into it, but not really. But there is some like prime rut muzzleloader. So take those ones out of it. For the most part, muzzleloader is definitely the least applied for.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like I could see the draw odds get better in some of the states like New Mexico. And I had to be careful of my application. And you might think like, oh, why don't you you don't want to draw a tag? Well, it's like I already had other tags that I knew I was probably going to draw, so I was trying to be cautious when I was applying because like I could probably draw this tag. Like years past, it was unattainable to me, but now next year, I'm not going to have some of these tags I have this year, obviously. So I'm like, I'm going to probably draw that next year. Like it opened the door to being able to draw great tags. And I think then it's also maybe weeding out people who weren't as serious about the muzzleloader game because like I can just throw a scope on there. I don't have to practice as much. I don't have to do anything. And go out there and still hunt.
That's 100% the case.
So you still hope people going into the open sites understand that they have to practice and aren't just going to go out there and wound a bunch of animals because it's now not as easy as a weapon to shoot, but for the guys that are serious, it opens the door to get in the field and good season dates a lot of times. And
and when you have a gun, like going back to white custom, when you have a gun that you know shoots and you're confident in it, you're not scared to go draw a muzzleloader tag.
Yeah,
right.
Or years past, you probably would have been.
Exactly.
Yeah. My first muzzleloader I had, I was definitely nervous about like, man, this is what I'm going to go out there with. You know, like okay.
And for me last year, it's like I draw an elk tag, I'm locked out for 7 years.
Yeah.
Kill or don't kill.
Yeah.
So it's like that weighs on you. Like, do you want to draw a muzzleloader tag because you know you're not going to be able to reach out and make a 300-yard shot perfect because you have a scope on it. So it's like that thought in your head, like, do you want to do this? But with a system like this, I was like, heck yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's like it's a perfect system that I'll be able to take a bull of my life. It's the biggest bull I've ever killed. Probably the biggest bull for the longest time until I draw another tag somewhere else. But like, I was able to make a shot perfectly and had no thoughts about like, oh, this is not going to be a great hunt because I'm limited on distance. Like. Sure, when I was out there, I said, if I had a rifle right now, I'd kill that elk and that elk and that elk.
But it has its limitations.
It added that challenge too, which I think also is making me a better hunter again because I started out as a bow hunter, then evolved into a rifle hunter. I was like, oh, this is really fun now because I can sit here at 500 yards and take a one-shot kill on an animal.
On any animal. Getting to 400 is like nothing.
Yeah, so I've kind of went away from that for a while and stopped learning all my stalking techniques, but now having muzzleloader in my hand again, now I'm really good at stalking, really good at reading the terrain and how to get closer. So now again, if I pick up a rifle, it's going to make me even more lethal hunter again because now I've gone down, go back up.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you guys bow hunt, right? It's not that hard with a little know-how to get like 200 yards. How often when you go stalk a deer, are you getting 200 yards? Almost every time.
Yeah.
If it's a decent situation.
Yeah, you have a decent chance to get 200 yards.
Yeah, we say if you know what you're doing and the wind's not crazy with a storm.
Yeah.
Like if you know what you're doing, to get to 150 yards or even 100 yards, like it's almost like I don't want to say it's a guarantee because it's never a guarantee. But if you know how to use topography and you know how to use wind, you know how to use contrast and shadows, getting to 100 yards on an animal is pretty damn doable.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where something like this, all day long, you get within 200 yards. That's chip shot for these things for sure.
Now, open country, obviously different story.
Yeah, but antelope, a little bit tougher.
Different story. Yeah. They got a 700-yard barrier around them at all times. Just different story.
Yeah. Is there any sort of like accuracy tips or like loading tips or ways to get better at a peep site that you kind of have? Or,
you probably talk more about peep sites than me at this point. I haven't actually had a peep site tag, so most of my peep
neither
sites,
of us. So it's a lot of 100-yard stuff for us.
Just 100 yards.
Just getting them zero.
But even just like loading your powder and bullet, like anything there you kind of look for besides for the witness mark.
Bore consistency is paramount, right? We talked about factors, right? So. I like to load as soon as I shoot because I know you've run into it now too as you started to shoot more where that because we're metal on metal, right? Copper in a steel barrel fits super critical. If you let the gun sit after you shoot it and don't clean the barrel or anything, that powder residue is going to crystallize, get super hard, and that first shot's going to load really hard. So super hard. If you're going hunting or you're at the range, I just load and shoot. Right away, or don't shoot necessarily, but as soon as I shoot, I
load it, and then you can wait to repair.
Load it just right
get
after
it down before that powder residue, and it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes. If you shoot and start screwing around with getting a scope adjustment or something, come back 2-3 minutes.
That's tough.
It'll harden up fast. You can't take I keep Burt's Bees chapstick in my pocket. Like a little bit of that on the bullet will combat that. And let you get the bullet down, and it doesn't seem to impact accuracy.
Yeah, I started doing that a lot. Well, after you told me about that, I was carrying the chapstick.
A lot of it wears. I think most of it.
Didn't they used to make
like boar butter,
weasel piss or something like that? Something had a really
weasel piss.
Yeah, there was a really
That's
funny
a cool
name.
We should come up with a product, weasel piss. if it's not.
God, I'll have to think of it because I haven't stopped laughing since I heard it. But like you put it on the bullet to help it seed better.
Yeah, you want to be careful not to get too much lube in there because like you need the back pressure with smoke system Blackhorn for consistent ignition. But and it's
God, what is it called? I'll have to think of it.
Yeah, I don't think boar butter is the only one
boar butter.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a nickname.
How important is a consistent bullet to powder contact and trying to do that every single time in your eyes?
Not a huge factor.
Really?
I mean, you want to be
if I'm like
You want to be putting some pressure on the bullet.
a couple 16ths still like all the time. Like if I do it once and I realize my witness mark where it is maybe like an 1/8 inch. Am I trying to really push it down?
I think that's volumetric differences in your Blackhorn, not so much your seating pressure.
Not so much seating pressure. Okay.
Yeah, so I would just look for a consistent
feel,
like
the feel every time.
Yeah.
I noticed I've seen some people. Adam and I were talking. Adam in this office, he shoots muzzleloaders too, and some guys are crazy and they take like bathroom scales out there.
Oh yeah.
And try to push it down and see the pounds of pressure you're trying to see.
Taking that in the backcountry?
Yeah, I was thinking about taking my grandma's 20-pound bathroom scale. Yeah.
They make a clicker one that you put between your ramrod and your hand, kind of like.
So Adam and I were trying to think about: is there a product we could create that you could do it digitally? Kind of like a digital fat wrench in a way that you could do it that would test the pounds of pressure or foot pounds or inch pounds where you want to do it.
I think it all matters, but once again, it's like how much does it matter?
Yeah, I think it goes back to guys like overcomplicate it, right?
Yeah,
like
obviously you're taking something that's
obviously don't barely push your bullet down, but if you're seating the bullet on the powder and you're giving it some pressure every time, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, definitely. I remember guys used to like tamp the loads down.
Oh yeah, shaking it's like ding ding. Yeah, don't do that. Especially these tip bullets.
Yeah, no need to do that.
Yeah. What about? So we talked about earlier weighing, going powder by weight and not by volume. Is there a main reason you like weight over volume?
Well, you run the risk like traditional muzzleloaders were by volume, right? Which didn't translate to weight at all. Even with Blackhorn, there's a by volume and a by weight measurement, right? So it's the weight is 70% of the by volume measurement. So we always give the charge for Blackhorn in by weight. For one, it's the most consistent. And then two, if you give it by volume, some guys will equate that to by weight, and then you end up with
it is a very confusing thing on the internet and the muzzleloading world. Like
we do use that Lee perfect powder measure for when we're throwing smokeless charges. It's plus or minus quarter grain, half grain, somewhere in there for test firing guns. It works just fine. It doesn't throw Blackhorn loads very accurately. There's just too much volume there, I think. But so we weigh it. Always
by weight is definitely the way to do Blackhorn.
Yeah.
And then just me being that crazy person again. So sorry, but like, are you guys ever? Would you suggest someone doing like a ladder test with Blackhorn 209, or is it going to be not as accurate as like a rifle? Because a rifle can sometimes go like 0.3 grain increments and test it out. Is Blackhorn as sensitive, or is it just like if I went like 115 grains by weight right now and decided, I'm going to do 114, 113, is there not enough difference there to actually make something significant?
So I feel like a lot of times, because since we're getting rid of all these variables, a lot of that goes out the door. Like a lot of builders out there sell muzzleloader load development packages. I feel like that's kind of just taking your money because you may run into a situation where you get a different lot of powder that's drastically different. I mean, at Blackhorn, you will see potential swings. It's gotten more consistent from what I've seen. In general, you're fine running with our recommended load. It'll give you that 2,500 feet per second with the 300 grain bullet, plus or minus, 20 or 30 feet per second, which, is 30 feet per second out to 400 or 500 yards isn't enough to miss your animal. But the when we shoot, like there's no different gun. The difference gun to gun is there's no chamber, no throat, no nothing, right? It's just powder. We're adjusting the fit of the bullet by the diameter, so the bullet fit in the barrel is the same. We shoot the same load through every gun, and we don't. If we run into a gun, which hardly ever happens, but if we occasionally we do, where a gun doesn't dial right in, we take it back to the shop and find out what got wrong in the build. It's never we don't
not
try
a powder charge.
We don't chase accuracy.
It's not like we need
with
a
the
different
load.
load for the gun. It's something is wrong.
Yeah, you know, once again, it's where maybe you're trying to find an extra quarter of an MOA in there somewhere there by doing the ladder. Maybe you'll find it. Maybe it's just you shot better on that particular.
It's exactly
charge.
like is the point of diminishing returns, and Blackhorn 209 is like gold anyway. So you're just burning
really
a bunch
wanna
of
just go burn
components
it.
for no real reason, maybe.
That's
Yeah.
what we do all of our practicing with a reduced charge of smokeless to mimic Blackhorn 209 speeds, just because I think you're up to like $3 a shot in powder with Blackhorn now.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's cleaner, cheaper.
Yeah.
Doesn't make your office smell.
Shoots basically to the same point of impact. So up until the last couple range trips, just do your shooting with
With smokeless, and then right before your hunt, just maybe run a few Blackhorn loads through it, make sure it's good, and
Can you
Go
please do
hunt.
that? So I was
Yeah.
I know. Actually, I texted
Sold
him a
you
while
out.
ago, and
Save
I
you some
actually
money.
did buy 2 pounds of smokeless.
Good.
I've just been so busy and all that, and I just wanted to totally dial with Blackhorn because I know I'm
wanted
going
to
to
stink up
hunt
your
with
office.
I have to hunt with Blackhorn. So, and I want the office to smell to let
Yeah,
them know I'm
I know
actually
you
out there
do.
practicing. Because if I didn't, you wouldn't know I'm practicing.
This
You know?
guy
So
used to microwave tilapia in the break room.
Yeah, it's
before.
great.
We had to tell him, dude.
I have to smell your guys' nasty food all the time. Like, why don't you guys smell mine?
It's not microwave tilapia. Our producer's even shaking his head. Like he even knows.
If you're at an office, you don't microwave fish.
Exactly. It's like you don't microwave fish in a break room. That is a social.
It is.
It's a
It
social
is,
rule.
Yes.
Literally, he used to. I'm not kidding.
oh, I believe it.
Yeah. Now he walks in here with Blackhorn 209 smell.
Multiple muzzleloaders with Blackhorn 209,
Yeah,
so it
multiple.
really just
Correct.
accentuates.
Yeah.
I wish we could just make a cologne out of that.
Not me.
If we made a men's cologne out of Blackhorn 209, or even Hoppies #9, that'd be set.
No.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You should smell my garage right now. It smells the same.
So gross. Just smells like an egg factory, boiled egg factory. That's what it smells like.
Exactly.
Oh, it's bad.
It's like pungent. It
Yeah.
doesn't go away
No.
either. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Where do you think advancements in muzzleloaders are going to go? Think we're tapped out, or think we're still something else?
That's a good question.
We'll never. I mean, nothing's ever tapped out, right? Just when you think
Yeah,
something's peaked, there, somebody innovates something.
Yeah, like even these open sites here.
Right.
From the
Yeah, I
Revex.
think that's probably what we're going to see is a lot of those in the next few years. Like the Revic is great. It's worked super well for us. It doesn't have a wind, way to compensate for wind.
Yeah.
So that that would be a opportunity for an advancement, just because holding off with a peep sight for wind is
Tough.
Yeah.
Right.
What,
No
what,
hash
what have you
marks,
seen
right.
a lot with windage affecting?
Oh,
300 grain bull?
wind's for sure the limiting factor
Yeah.
with these.
Brutal on a muzzleloader.
Yeah. You got a 10 mile an hour crosswind. I mean, you're talking a couple of feet at 500 yards, right? It's
Really?
a big old curveball.
Yeah,
So
I've
wind
been
is-
trying to go a few days when it's been windy, but it's hard because it's never windy in the morning here in Vegas. And so I have to try to go in the afternoon, and it's
Yeah, and
100,
if you're limiting
105 degrees
yourself
out.
to 300 yards, right, it's not going to be as bad. But yeah, you start getting 400, 500, 600 yards, it's a
Big deal.
Big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking. The G7 BC on our 300 grain bullets 0.185, so it's roughly half for what 2/3 of what most your like a 7 PRCs, I think 0.39.
Yeah.
So it's about
So it's
half
like-
half of that on the ballistic coefficient. So it definitely impacts more energy wise. Like with the Blackhorn load, I mean you're still carrying 1,500 foot-pounds out to 500 or 600 yards. So there's
Plenty
So
of
a
that.
bullet will perform.
Yeah. Plenty of that.
and like you throw a scope on there and ring and steel at 1,000 yards is no problem. I mean,
Even with
suit-
Blackhorn.
suit, Blackhorn, you can hit stuff, but the wind, like to make a first round
Impact.
at 1,000, you gotta be pretty darn good with your wind
With your
calls.
wind calls.
Yeah. I kind of, everyone asks like, what's the maximum? We were just asking Brady, what's your maximum range? I mean, it's the maximum range of the guns is further than what I think most people should put their max at.
Yeah.
That's how all weaponry now is.
Bows, rifles,
You
all
cannot
that.
outshoot your bow. You
Yeah.
can't outshoot a muzzleloader anymore. And I mean, for a long time, you can't outshoot a gun.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, practice far and hunt closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should ask Omar how I shot today.
You shot good?
Yeah, ask him.
Okay.
Talk
well,
about practicing far.
all right.
Just go ask him.
Well, I see he's been rucking. He's
Yeah.
been shooting.
Been rucking with me. Been shooting.
What are the different breakdowns between 50 and 45 cal? You have a lot of, is it like 50-50 or is it more 45?
Oh no, I mean it's like
yeah.
350 cals this year. I mean it's if you come to us looking for a 50, we're gonna try and talk you into a 45.
We're going to
cal.
instantly ask you, are you hunting elk in Colorado?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you're not, do not buy a 50 cal.
Do you think states would ever change that? Because that is something like that I thought of, because obviously I have a 45. I have a lot of points in Colorado. I don't know what I'm going to do with them eventually for elk because I just have a lot of points everywhere for elk. But is there any disadvantage in 45 and 50?
Well, yeah, the 50 is a disadvantage,
See,
right?
yeah.
You could, just because with the 50 to get the same ballistic coefficient we have in a 45. I mean, you're talking like a 500 grain bullet, like something nobody's gonna
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
business touching off, right? So, like traditionally, people in a Sabo we're shooting the same bullet in a 45 that somebody would shoot in a Sabo in a 50 cal. So, it's a like we have more energy, more like it's a more effective rifle than a 50 on every. If you go back to more traditional stuff, then yeah, you may be looking at more energy out of a 50 cal. But yeah, with this system, I mean, 1,500 foot-pounds is crazy energy at 500 or 600 yards.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
If you're not hunting elk in Colorado,
No reason for it.
Get a 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's like and then it's either you've got the money to spend on a couple of muzzleloaders to get a 50 and a 40, because if you're hunting a bunch of states, you're really just hamstringing yourself in all the other states. Just go with and a lot of these Colorado muzzleloader elk hunts are rut hunts anyways. You're 150, 100
And it's a
yards.
peep site state, right?
Yeah, so just
you're
stick
already
with
limited at times.
Yeah.
stick with your factories, muzzleloader that you're good to 100 yards for Colorado, and spend your money on
the 45
on the 45.
for the longer stuff.
99% of what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Actually, it's a good way to do it. Because you're right. I mean, those muzzleloader hunts in Colorado, they're rut hunts.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you should be able to get to 150, 120.
And there's a
pretty
lot of
easy.
good factory guns that can get you 150, 200 with a little bit of time behind them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got for you guys?
Learning about muzzleloaders,
Learn
man.
about muzzleloaders.
Yeah, I mean, we spent an hour talking about them, hour and a half. Like, there's not, we've simplified it a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beauty of it. What makes them appealing?
It is so simple. Like you said, you get a muzzleloader, you get all the components from you. Everything's all there. You just got to go and practice at that point and
Yeah.
and validate. And I mean, it's easy to convert it into like any sort of rangefinder ballistics app too.
Yeah.
Like just
no different than a rifle.
yeah, if you're used to that, just plug it in.
I'm going to do the porter practice.
porter practice.
Yeah, 700 yards only.
Gosh, yeah, we have to break him of that. He's a guy. Love him. He's obviously
It's
out.
the best.
He's out muzzleloader hunting right now.
Yeah. Could get a text from him any minute, right?
We could get a text any minute, but we go to the range and he loves just to shoot far because his mind, it's better practice. Like we talk about practice far, hunt closer, but like I'm like, Porter, since you don't get to go out and shoot it very
gotta-
often, we need to do the fundamentals first. We have to learn how to do a
work your
layup.
way out.
We got to do a layup. We got to do some free throws before we
Yeah.
go, straight NBA threes.
Yeah.
And he likes to go out and shoot some NBA threes all the time. Like we need 100, 100 because like I said, that's where I practice all the time. I know everything. I build the good fundamentals by shooting close.
Especially
and
at the
trying to
peak.
stretch it out. Yeah,
Especially
we
with the peak.
And that's if you can shoot a really tight group at 100, you can shoot 1,000.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same press of the trigger,
Yeah,
the same fundamentals. It's just math beyond that. So like get situated at 100, and then you'll for sure be able to shoot 1,000 if you even wanted to,
Yeah.
But he goes out there and just the furthest target. That's the one he wants to start with.
let's go 400 yards right
Yeah,
away. And I'm
where's,
like,
where's the 400 at? Like, okay, here we go.
What did he say his effective range was when he was setting out?
He's saying 250.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was actually doing really well at that distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's
saw a
saying-
few videos from him. It looks like
He
had it
his
dialed in.
mind. Everyone's different, right? His
Oh,
mind
yeah.
is just his confidence when he goes out there and rings it at 400, 700, those real long shots. Then he's like, he just builds his confidence, and then
Yeah.
he'll work back. Where most, like with my bow this morning, like I start at 20, and I have to shoot 2 arrows in the kill zone, and then I'll move to 30, then 40, then all the way out to 120. But like I start early to make sure my shot is good. You know what I mean? He
let
does
your
it.
forms down,
He does it
all
the
that.
opposite.
Yeah.
He goes
Yeah.
he goes the opposite way. He wants to hit the 700 and he's like, "Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I can shoot 200 and be confident."
I do that a lot when I'm validating dope, I guess. I go to like figure from dead center at 7. Trajectories are so dialed in now. Then
Yeah.
0
Yeah.
to 7, I'm probably good. But
You're testing dope.
yeah,
He's supposed to be
that's his
testing
practice.
fundamentals.
It's just straight up practice. All right.
Yeah, a little different.
A little different there.
We get our fill of 100-yard practice.
Yeah.
It's a lot of test firing.
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
sure.
100-yard range days.
I'm sure.
We're ready for fall to hit in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 115 degrees when you're shooting 12 muzzleloaders for 2 hours
No,
is
thank you.
pretty
I
brutal.
know, I can't wait. Even my son the other day was coming home from baseball practice, and he's just beet red. And he goes, "Dad, when is it cold season?"
Yeah.
Dude, not soon enough.
Not so
Like, I'm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
sick of this. He asked me, "When is it cold season?"
I know.
Loved it. I'm
I'm
like,
with
dude,
him,
you
yeah.
even know. Like,
Yeah.
we're done with this. We're over.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because that's when I can do more of my fun
Yeah.
Oh,
practice outside. Because like
Gets
right
you
now, like
closer
you're
to
saying,
mule deer season too, right?
Yes.
After
We got
yeah.
September.
Real mule deer season.
November is for mule deer.
November.
Yeah.
Gosh, guys.
That's what it is.
I know. Typically, it is. I'm starting to,
Which is funny because I'm hunting elk in November,
Yeah, you are.
so guess it's not mule deer for
Yeah,
me.
I'm hunting elk in November this year too.
Look at us,
Look at us.
Nice.
Wow.
not using it for mule deer.
Hmm.
But January, February is for mule deer also. If you go south of the border,
That's
Yeah.
right. No better place to be.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
You need to get one of these and take it down there.
I was gonna say, how
That
many
would
people
be
do you think
fun.
have taken a muzzleloader in Mexico?
I don't know anybody.
It would be fun. I'm
Yeah.
bringing my bow. Maybe I'll kill
Yeah,
a
the
deer.
bows are easy, right? Because you can just throw them in, no permit needed.
Yeah. Maybe I'll
I think for a
uh,
muzzleloader, you need a permit.
I'll
I
shoot,
don't know
I'll
for sure,
shoot
but
a
I
deer
would
with a
think so.
bow, a muzzleloader, and a rifle.
There you go.
This year.
It's like
That'd
a
be fun.
grand slam. You need
Yeah.
one more thing to make it.
You might be the
Yeah.
first guy to
Right,
shoot
the cycle.
a deer in Mexico with a peep sight muzzleloader if you did that.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. I'd bring a handgun. I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do that.
That might be-
Yeah, if you do that, I'm not going down with you.
That's.
I'll be in a
that's
different
jail
truck
time
for
in,
sure.
Jail time in Mexico.
Yeah.
Just take a folding stock and fold it up for the
Yeah.
shot.
There you
Be
go.
a pistol and
There we go.
spirit.
Yeah, how many people do chassis stocks? Do you ever request a chassis stock with the muzzy?
We've done a few
Yeah.
recently. It's definitely not as common as like the center fire stuff on a chassis, but there's guys that just love chassis.
Yeah.
We just finished up 2 this last week that we were shooting, so
Recoil's a lot stiffer. I'd
Yeah,
say, on the
for sure.
chassis. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah, I would bet.
it's just like the chassis is cool, right? But the point of a chassis, at least in my opinion, is the foldability of it, right? The packability of it. And you got a 26-inch barrel on the end anyway.
Yeah.
So for me, I just stick with a stock. But some guys love their chassis. So
It's an optic thing too. Looks
Yeah.
cool. Looks badass.
For sure.
it does.
That's why I did a custom paint because it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm all.
This is
for
one
it.
of one for sure.
I've also been very transparent about that. I love cool shit. Like if it looks cool, I want to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so one more thing. So so I'm obviously leaving to go hunting. I got a muzzleloader tag from mule deer. I want to go shoot tomorrow. I'm going to practice all my distances, 450 yards, shooting in. What should I do? How many rounds should I put down, and should I call it good? Do you want me to clean? What should my process be before someone's maybe going hunting? Let's say I shoot 7 shots tomorrow. Do I leave it at 7 and then not clean it again, or do I do a little just quick clean and then call it good, and then maybe shoot 1 more or 2 more?
I would just load it and go myself.
After
Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
After 7?
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
I just want to hear what the
Speaking
master
my
say.
language.
Yeah.
All right. If master,
even
if
mess
master
with it.
says load and go after 7, I'm gonna maybe I'll shoot 6 then to make it even.
There you go.
So it makes it in my head. It's a little cleaner.
There you go.
Can't quite do it.
So some of it is just letting the gun tell you too. Like how
Yeah.
how many
How's
shots?
the bullet
What's
feel
the
going
most
down?
you shot?
The most I've shot is 9 at a range day. I'm still shooting perfect.
Yeah,
And what the
I'm still
bullet
shooting
do?
perfect. That's why I just want to hear it again.
Yeah.
Maybe for other people too, because I do clean a lot.
Yeah.
How
you
does
got-
the bullet load though?
Like-
When you shot 9, like how is the bullet fitment?
It gets a little tighter.
Yeah.
But I did I put a patch down it so it threw out multiple ones every now and then. So like
Yeah.
I'm doing something there, but
Gotcha.
yeah. I mean,
you
ES
should shoot it.
is still phenomenal.
You should shoot it 3 times. I'm just doing Brady Miller talk here. I'm not being serious, but you should shoot it 3 times.
Yep.
Then clean it. Then shoot it 4 times. Then go. That would be a Brady Miller move right there. If you're
Yeah.
saying 7, that's
Yeah.
what Brady would do. He'll shoot it 7, but he'll break it.
It'll be interesting to find out what happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Let us know what you
get
end up
those
doing.
customers
Exactly.
where you tell them what you suggest.
It'll be like midnight tomorrow night. I'll be like, gosh, maybe
just
I
clean
should just
it.
pull the breech out and do a deep clean. And
Definitely
So that-
do
that-
not pull the breech.
Yeah,
from
do
it.
not
the
do
breech,
that.
like these things don't get dirty. Like the breech,
No.
I've noticed, like it still shoots, like
Yeah.
phenomenally.
Well, there's just no room for carbon to build
Yeah.
up in the system. So,
Yeah, that's a slick design.
yeah.
Yeah, Luke killed it with his ignition system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I even
sure.
love how the bolt, it stops where it needs to stop, so I can easily throw it in. I don't have to have it throw all the way back and then push the bolt slightly forward to get the module in there. Just all the
Yeah.
little details just add up where you're stacking consistent tolerances on top of each other to make it super, super accurate. And it works. It works. The bull elk that eventually will be in my office is proof to that.
Yeah.
And hopefully
When
the
is he
mule
gonna be
deer.
here?
I think capes were a little delayed. I
Yeah.
heard maybe getting the cape here end of this month or October.
So another like 3 months maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That needs to get here.
I know it
It's a
needs to
stud
get
of a
here.
bull.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wanting to see that in person.
Yeah.
I know. I wish I had it here for you guys to see because
Yeah.
I was
That's
with
a
Jim's
stud.
muzzy. That muzzleloader
Yeah.
Jim's that I borrowed from you guys. That shot a lot of elk.
Yeah.
That thing has been used and abused and passed around, and it just
Lucky turd
shoots,
drew
man.
another
Yeah, he drew the same tag. I think,
you really?
right? Same tag or
different,
unit?
different
I think
unit.
neighboring unit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, he's going with Cole and Ryan.
yeah,
Awesome.
the old
Yeah.
Blackhorn boys.
The Blackhorn boys.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any hunts you drew this year? Any big tags?
Not
Nothing.
me.
No.
Little OTC in the desert this year, probably in December with the bow, and that'll be it.
Yeah. I got landowner tag over in New Mexico for mule deer.
There you go.
Be my first mule deer.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about that. Yeah, first mule deer.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean,
Pretty
I haven't shot it
crazy.
yet, right?
Welcome to the good
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
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 And then you'll jet down to Mexico.
oh, yeah,
and do a Coos deer
Mexico.
hunt.
Yeah.
Coos hunt down there.
Yeah. See if
Yeah.
I can keep that big buck streak going. But
Well, good luck with that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I got 2 muzzleloader mule deer tags. I'm gonna try to shoot that Desert U, the muzzleloader as well, hopefully, and
That'll be sweet.
that'll be kind of fun.
Brady
Yeah.
goes all in. That's the Brady we know.
Man, I don't want to just roll up on a Desert U hunt. Like I've done a lot of them with friends, and like
Yeah.
just go up there the day, and like I kind of want to sleep on the rocks.
Yeah. Go shoot one at 100 yards.
Yeah,
Be
it'd be
fun.
kind of fun.
Yeah,
Do something
I
totally
agree.
different.
I
Backpack
agree.
in for them. Yeah,
I think how many? Well, Josh Wilson, right? With the one we've had one sheep, I think, killed.
Yeah,
with
Josh
muzzle.
Wilson shot a sheep in northern Arizona,
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 years ago?
With the
Yeah.
muzzleloader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd be the
Awesome.
first U that you known about of
For
of
sure.
an Arrowhead.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I'm definitely gotta do it.
It may
now.
be the first and only.
And I did talk to whatever I can say a state, Nevada, because it's a U tag. Everyone probably knows. It's the first time I'll ever
I
say
mean,
a
if
state.
you don't even say the unit for a U tag, like, come on.
It's
It's a
there's only
U
one.
tag.
It's a
There's
U
only
tag.
one.
That's what I'm saying. It's a
Yeah.
U tag.
Yeah, so I did talk to Nevada and asked him, like, could I put a scope on it during the season? He's like, yeah, it's an any legal weapon season, so you can put a scope on it, and I could shoot smokeless too because it's an illegal weapon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could both my mule deer hunts will be done, so I could pull the peep system off, put a scope on there if I want, put smokeless. But I kind of want to do it open
I
sight.
think if you're gonna do it with muzzler, you
You
should.
gotta
You should do
Yeah.
open
with the
sight.
peep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it
That's
open.
what I
I'll do it
would
open
do.
I
sight.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
All right, Brady. Let's see it.
All right, set a goal. I'm
Can't
gonna do
wait.
it.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for having us.
That was a fun podcast, and just what is it? Arrowheadrifles.com. Check out your website.
Yeah,
all the
Instagram,
components.
all
Yeah.
those places.
Instagram.
So, yeah.
Yep, Arrowhead Rifles.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you.